Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 58 of The Effing Title. And today we have the queen of The Sims, the 100 baby maker of The Sims, more Sims stuff, all of the Sims stuff. We have JaxonAtlas. And is it okay if I call you Jackson, though?
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to tell you right now, my brain kind of stopped after Queen of the Sims, and then just everything at that point just went Sims. I'm sorry about that. How are you doing?
I mean, where do you really go to after Queen of the Sims? It doesn't really get much better than that.
I mean, like, that's what I was thinking. Like, I've been thinking about it all day, and it's one of those things where, you're one of my newer friends. Everyone else I've kind of known for a little bit now, so, like, I've had a little bit more to go off of. So, I've been thinking about it all day, and Queen of the Sims was the only real thing that popped in my head. And I'm sitting there like, she'd be fine with that. She'd be fine.
Absolutely. It's so funny. You spend all day working yourself up for something. You play it over and over in your head. Queen of the Sims.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yep.
Right there. I mean, once you reach perfection, you don't really have to keep working, Husky.
Exactly.
You shouldn't have wasted the whole day thinking after that.
Man, that's just what I do, though. So, how are you doing though? You having a good day?
I am indeed. My
Awesome.
allergies have been kicking my butt lately, so like I'm trying to stay hydrated and everything.
There's days when, because I've started going back to the gym now, where I go to the gym and I'll go in and I'll get like 5-10 minutes on the treadmill, and immediately my nose starts to shut down, and at that point it's one of those things where it goes, I forgot to take my Benadryl this morning. It's like at that very point, that's when I know. So for the people out there that don't know who you are, because you are in chat quite a bit now these days, but you're not on the channel, tell the good people a little bit about yourself.
Well, hello, Husky Nation. It's nice for you guys to be able to hear my voice, huh? I know you guys always see me over there being a little smart ass, making him dance that little octopus dance as soon as I come on. But hello. My name is Jackson. I'm actually a pretty new streamer. I just started end of last year, I want to say. September, October, I was gonna say, something?
I remember seeing you more and more around at the end of last year.
Yeah, that's because I started existing around the end of last year.
Oh, okay, good. Good. You just nothing. There it is.
Yep, that's pretty much how it goes. But yeah, so I mainly stream Sims content, where we do a lot of focus on building. I also do what Husky mentioned earlier, and it's going to sound crazy to non-Sim players, or even to some veteran Sim players, but I am doing the 100 Baby Challenge on my channel right now. We are taking a tiny break from that, just for a little bit, but we will be back with that as soon as we can. And outside of that, I like to play like Nintendo games and everything. And I really love Studio Ghibli, like everything. And like I feel like that's all you really need to know about me.
Yeah, I mean, you tell them as much as you want them to know. I mean, it's
Yeah, man. I mean, I love to eat, so if you ever want to send me an edible arrangement, we can arrange that.
An edible arrangement, I love it. I love it. So for today, as always, everyone out that are veterans to the effing title, y'all know I let the guests pick the topics. So for today, we have Avatar: The Last Airbender, not the giant blue people. We have The Sims, and we have the final topic, which is a long-running series that was created by the lovely Dana, which is My Life as A, which we will get into at the end of the podcast. So to start off, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and like I said, this is not Dances with Smurfs. This is the giant flying bison and the dude with the arrow on his head.
Yes. Okay, first off, I just want to say, if anybody ever mentions Avatar and the first thing you think of is the blue people, you're just thinking wrong. Like, I can sincerely say I've never even gotten through that movie without falling asleep once.
Fair enough.
I went to see it in theaters twice because I fell asleep the first time and I fell asleep again, and I was like, maybe this just isn't a video or a movie that I'm going to be able to get through.
See, what you got to do now this time, right, is you got to set like an alarm, and you got to go in and then fall asleep to start the movie, And then when the alarm wakes you up, that's when you're like normally falling asleep, so then you can get right back to it.
Yes, and it's always the same spot that I'm falling asleep at too.
It's one of those ones. It's very much because I've always put it like there's the movies that you have to sit down and you have to really concentrate when you watch, and you kind of have to like absorb it and kind of be like fully involved, fully immersed in it. And then there's some movies you can just sit down, throw it on, and just kind of giggle your way through, or just watch your way through. And I think Avatar is one of those ones where you have to be in like almost the right mindset, the right everything. It's like that's a sit down and watch movie. That's not a just kind of throw it on and just let's see what happens.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And maybe one day I'll be able to put it on and actually make it
I'm
through.
I'm
But
I'm I'm gonna tell you right now. I mean, you don't need to. It's fine. I mean, that movie came out when I think I was in high school, and we still haven't got a second one yet. And the second one's coming out in like the next 5 years. I don't care anymore. Like,
nobody cares.
yeah. So, um,
We're getting new Avatar before we get the other Avatar. Nobody cares about that Avatar anymore.
exactly.
Okay.
So let's
That
talk.
ship has sailed.
Let's talk about this Avatar then. As I was
Yes.
saying to you before the podcast, and the little private moments that stream and YouTube aren't allowed to listen to. I was talking about how I've been doing my due diligence today, and I've been looking up stuff and reading and watching videos and trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And so far, what I figured out is there's a lot going on here. Like I was trying my hard. Like one of them was going so deep into like the review of like doing it by like the chapter and the year and the episode and I'm sitting there and I'm just lost. I'm like getting characters. I'm like, okay, I kind of get that character. That character's kind of cool. This character I've seen a few times now. Okay, that's kind of cool. Who is that person? And then like they've already talked about them as I'm getting to the point where I'm like, who is that person? And now they're already moved on, and I'm like, oh well, all right, don't know who that one is. Moving on. Um, the whole thing, like I said, the whole thing it's very. I find it very unique because it's one. I thought it was an anime. I didn't realize this was an American cartoon
Yeah, it's
series,
an American
which I
animation.
should have guessed because of the style of animation, right? Um,
Mhm.
but I found it very it's not like typical American animation.
No,
It's
it's not.
it's very like the lore, the characters, like the building of the characters, the arcs, all of it. As I was watching through stuff and looking and reading, I was like, wow, this is in depth to like a level I haven't seen in an American animation. I don't think ever.
Yeah, so it's won multiple awards, and it's won a daytime Emmy, and it's also for the Appa's Lost Days episode, which I'm sure you don't know about yet. Um, but
Oh,
that episode actually won a Humane Society award.
wow.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm looking down right now. I'm looking down right now here, looking at this list here, because of course I have Wikipedia up. So I'm just looking down the list, and it's like best TV show, best animated television, best this,
yeah.
outstanding
They
children's programming, favorite cartoon. Like holy shit!
They go over so much in the show. They talk about death, they talk about, like you said earlier, genocide, like,
Hmm.
it's not just the genocide, okay? Like, inside the show, they deal with family loss. Aang being a monk, he doesn't actually even have a family. He was raised by the monks since he was a baby. So he doesn't have a mom and dad. He has like monk gyatso and everything like that. So like when he did come out of the ice uh ball glacier, all of his family that he never even knew was gone, all of his friends were gone, all of his adopted family was gone, and they show loss in that aspect. They show loss of a father to a son. They show loss of abandonment of parents, and also with Appa's Lost Days, they show like what happens when they lose one of their familiars.
Hmm.
In the Avatar universe, when you go to pick your animal, it's like your animal picks you. and it's a very spiritual experience to get your familiar, to get your well, to Aang it was his flying bison Appa.
Mhm.
Um but like going back a little bit on my favorite thing about the Avatar universe is, for one, it's an Avatar universe.
Mhm.
Okay, it's not just like a small little world. It's not just a kids TV show where, you know, we go with Dora every week and we do some menial task. It's like it's a show with adult themes
Mhm.
presented in a manner that kids can comprehend and kids can relate to. It also deals a lot um with racism, and a big thing I think to pay attention to is in Prince Zuko's arc. He does all of this good for the Earth Kingdom, and well, this one Earth Kingdom farm family. He's doing like
Mhm.
all of this good for them to try and help them. And the family finds out that he's a firebender because he reveals his powers while trying to save them, and they immediately disown him. And this is a character that's been banished from his kingdom by his father. So he's just being rejected left and right. And it, it shows him trying to deal with it. And then there's also a running fan theory that has held up for quite some time that Zuko is actually on the autism spectrum because of the way he actually interacts with the other characters.
Interesting.
And I'll let you guys dig into those theories. I
Mhm.
won't touch onto that. I don't have the deepest knowledge, so I don't know how much of what the theory says is fully true or not, but it is a very interesting read. If you guys ever have the time, just look up Zuko's little theory. Um, and you'd be surprised. Like, he is honestly probably the biggest developed character. And I'm gonna stop myself before I get too far into that, because that's something I want to save for a little bit later. But I think, touching back to what I was saying with the whole universe
Mhm.
thing, is that they went and they built an entire universe for something that was only like 3 seasons long. And it carried on to Legend of Korra, which is another few seasons, which then goes
Mhm.
into even more of the rich, deep lore. And this is actually where we learn about the first Avatar, is in Korra's series.
Okay.
So, like, to talk about the Avatar universe, we really, really need to be going back to the very beginning. And that's all the way like 10,000 years before our stories take place with Aang and Korra.
So that's one of the things that like I said when I was looking at a lot of the stuff, you could tell that they did their due diligence and they put their time and effort into this to create this like universe, like as you just said, that it's just thousands and thousands of years old. Because like there's somewhere it's like, you know, you can look at some shows and it's like this show exists right now, and you can ask them like about lore, or you can ask them about, you know, like universe building, and there isn't any of that, right? It's like, oh yeah, we just, you know, we made the cat purple because that's the color of the pen that I had that day. You know, like that sort of shit, right? But like when I was looking at this, and the more I looked into it, it's like they really put a lot of time and effort into this, and it felt like more time and effort than you see in a lot of cartoons, even in those days, especially these days. But you know, even in those days, it felt like it was more than you would normally see.
And I think that's why it was so ahead of its time. So the old people that were older than I was during that time, let's see, 2005, I was in middle school.
Jesus, way to make me
um,
feel old. Fucking a.
so in 2005, I was still in a cartoon age,
Mm-hmm.
and like a good bit of millennials were. And as millennials become like the larger generation, I mean, obviously Gen Z is the bigger generation now, I think, at this point. But you know, as we became the bigger generation, what we wanted became more important. And what we wanted was cartoons.
Yeah.
So like they made this brilliant cartoon that's way ahead of its time, but you have an adult age group now that still wants cartoons like this. They
Mhm.
want the adult themes.
Yep.
They want the intensity. They want the well, not necessarily historical accuracy, but a good try at it. Like
Mhm.
they actually pulled in people for East Asian cultural sensitivity to make sure that they were doing things properly, to make sure
That's
that they
awesome.
can get things culturally accurate. Yeah, and like the fighting styles that they use, Tai Chi is the base of water bending. You've got Hungar for earth bending, and Northern Shaolin for firebending, and Bugua for airbending. And those are pretty much your basic fighting styles. They aren't limited to just those. And in Korra's series, you can see in the pro bending series, they more use like MMA and UFC fighting styles compared to the more traditional fighting styles that we see in Aang's series.
Okay.
It's really nice to see the development and seeing the time change and seeing like they are pulling from Eastern culture. They are pulling from like Eastern politics and stuff like that to inspire the plot points.
Yeah.
However, I think the execution of all the plot points are very unique.
Unique
Uh,
in a way of.
so we have a dictator,
Okay.
which is the Fire Lord,
Mhm.
right? And the Fire Lord doesn't face just one avatar. So the original Fire Lord and Avatar, they were not original Avatar. Well, actually, if we go back far enough, the original Avatar was a firebender.
Interesting.
Homie, let me tell that story first. So there's this young man, right? And he lives on the back. This is 10,000 years ago. I'm completely shifting gears again. He lives on the back of this lion turtle, right?
Lion
And
turtle, got you.
yeah. This happens to be the fire lion turtle. And he is dreaming of a life of equality for him and his people because he lives under a ruling family that is very gluttonous. They eat a lot of food while the poverty and poor just starve. So people have to go off of the turtle into the spirit filled forest that surrounds them to hunt and to forage and stuff like that to bring stuff back. Now, when the hunters go out, they get this blessing from the fire turtle of firebending. And
Okay.
all they can really do is just kind of shoot it at things to like kill it and scare it away and protect themselves and everything like that in the woods. Well, this one guy gets an idea of stealing the fire and using it to plan a coup against the ruling family.
Okay.
He does the coup, does all that stuff, but when it's discovered he stole the fire from the lion turtle, he gets banished from the lion turtle and he can no longer live there. And as a last plea, he's like, hey, like, I'm going to have to go out here and face a lot of scary things I can't handle as just a human. Can I keep the fire? And the lion turtle says, yeah, you can keep the fire. A few years go by. Eventually, he adapts to living with the spirits and he harmonizes and living with the spirits. Spirits hate humans. They freaking came through the spirit portal when it opened up and was like, hey, humans, this is our place now, and like banished them to the turtles.
Stop, y'all. This is ours now. That turtle over there,
Yeah.
that's you. Go.
Yeah, pretty much.
Jesus.
So after a couple of years of banishment, he starts getting curious. When he first came to the spirits, they told him to just go find another lion turtle to go live on. And it struck him as weird, but he didn't really think of it. And then like later on, it's like, well, you mentioned this before. And they're like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of lion turtles with human civilizations on them. So he set out to go and find them. And on his way to go and find them is when he comes across these two giant spirits, Vatu and Rava, that are fighting. And Vatu is calling out to the man, pleading for help. And he's like, help me. She's killing me. She's killing me. You have to help me. And this guy was like, hey, you can't do this to an innocent spirit. And the other spirit's like, homeboy, chill. You're human. This ain't your business, right? And so the human goes, yeah, it is. You're hurting this spirit. And he gets involved and he frees the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Rava freaks out. Vatu freaking vanishes. Rava reveals that he is actually the spirit of darkness, where she's the spirit of light. So all things evil and chaotic is what he is, and it's up to her to keep him in check. And he was just freed.
It's bad looks.
Oh, it's real bad luck, right?
Bad looks.
So this man is like, hey, what can I do? Like, I realized what I did. I want to help. And she's like, you can help by staying out of it. And she just flies away. So this man gets back on his gosh, what was it? A deer or something? It's some type of deer, but he gets on it and he keeps on traveling. And eventually he finds other people. And he finds the airbenders. He can't get onto the airbending lion turtle because it's flying, and he wasn't given the gift of airbending. So this guy, Jerry rigs a catapult to launch himself onto this turtle.
I was gonna say, I could just see it now, just like, I haven't seen people in days, and then suddenly it's like, oh look, that motherfucker is flying. How the fuck do I get up there?
Try years.
Oh,
this guy hasn't seen people for years.
Yeah, that's the part where you start looking at like pieces of moss and like rocks, and you start talking to them like, damn.
Yeah. Damn, that tree looking thick today.
That moss. I see. Catapults himself up there, or he catapults himself.
So he gets up there, and suddenly Vatu comes back. He arrives, and all of the kind little spirits that were living on this turtle, like little bunnies and like butterfly things and stuff like that, suddenly start to like mutate and transform and become evil spirits. And they start like trashing the place. And then Rava, she shows up and starts fighting with Vatu, but she starts losing the fight and she grows weaker, and Vatu gets away saying that he'll see her at the next harmonic convergence. And he's off. At this point, Rava, the giant light spirit, like the size of a fucking mountain, mind you, is now like the size of a hand. And this man vows to protect her and to help her because it's his fault that the world is now thrown into chaos and is out of balance. And he feels incredibly responsible for it.
Yeah, he should. Rightfully so.
He very well should, yes.
That's one of those things where you see that shit happening, you're in the woods, you see that shit happening, you go, deuces, and you just keep going the other way. Like, what? Come on, man.
So he takes Rava and puts her in like this little like tea kettle, and as he's leaving the air lion turtle, he begs the lion turtle for air powers, saying he's going to need all the strength he can to protect her and to fight off Vatu at the next harmonic convergence, which is their, centennial fucking fight it out or whatever. Or millennial, actually. I think it's every couple thousand years. But he's like, I'm going to need that. And they're like, well, you're a human. You can only possess one of these elements at a time. What I can do is give it to you and have Rava hold the power and the ability for you. And he says, okay. So Rava takes firebending away from him, and the lion turtle gives him airbending. And he then learns how to airbend. Then he leaves and he continues to travel and eventually gets the water and the earth elements as well. Anytime Rava passes through him, he can change out what bending ability he can do.
Okay.
Harmonic convergence shows up, and he takes Rava to the South Pole, where the spirit portal is. There's also another spirit portal in the North Pole, and that's the one that Vatu comes through.
Okay.
Rava is inside of Juan, like passing in and out of him, exchanging all of the bendings during this like big like fight out with this guy. But he's just like losing. He's losing. And like he tells Rava, hey, we have to bind our energies together so I can use all of the powers at once if we're going to stand a chance in defeating him in this condition. So she binds her spirit to this man spirit, and that creates the first avatar, Avatar 1.
Okay.
And that's why only the avatar can have all 4 bending powers, because it's not physically capable for them to hold any more than 1. And from there, it just starts the whole thing. When Juan dies at an old age, trying to keep bringing peace to the world, he died on a battlefield, which is actually a battlefield we later see Zuko walking through. So, good callbacks. They're very, very good at their callbacks.
I'm always a big fan of like callbacks or subtle hints to previous things. Always a big fan of that.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the story of the first Avatar, and that's like how we even got the Avatar. And it's actually really interesting. I think Legend of Korra should have been titled The Last Avatar.
Okay.
Because if you like learned from what you were looking into before, she is the end of the Avatar cycle.
Oh.
If you look in the earlier episodes of Avatar The Last Airbender, you'll see them walking through the Chamber of Avatars. In Legend of Korra, you'll see them walking through the Chamber of Avatars as well. Spatially, if you look, after the Fire Lord, or not the Fire Lord, after the Fire Avatar, it then goes Aang. There's only enough room in that room for 2 more statues. And that would be Aang and Korra. And that would be the end of the Avatar cycle. So it seems like it was already predetermined, too.
Interesting. That brings up a question that I'm going to have for later, and I'm going to write that down right now.
But basically, Avatar: The Last Airbender, it follows Aang, who's a 12-year-old boy, and the gang, Katara, Sokka, Zuko, Toph, Momo, and Appa. Which also, in the earlier stories of Wan, his first spirit friend is actually a lemur spirit called, I think it's either AA or II or something. I can't remember. And when we meet Aang, Aang finds Momo, who is a lemur.
Okay.
Also, I think Momo is Japanese for mango or something, or peaches, and like that's what Momo is eating when Aang first meets him. So he literally just named him after the food.
That's freaking brilliant. I love it.
It is.
Yes, I found because like I said, I did a bunch of I watched some stuff, I looked at some stuff. I found it interesting that from what it sounded like is the Avatar is there to bring balance, right? There's the 4 nations. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go through. There's Water Tribe, Earth Kingdom, Fire Nation, and Air Nomads. Am I right about that one?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And there's the Avatar, and the Avatar brings peace. Kind of brings balance. If someone gets out of line, they smack them around. And that person usually lives for like a century or 2 or something like that. I found it.
Actually, they live a relatively normal lifespan. It's
Oh.
just that Kiyoshi happened to live for 230 years old, just because of a mathematical error, and they ran with it.
I love it. So I found it interesting that, like, and it seemed like each one of the avatars, when I was like, they kind of accepted it. So I found it interesting that they did it with the young, as you said, 12. It was 12. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
That they did it with that, and he immediately was like, "I don't want it. Nope, not me." And he's just like, "I'm out," like deuces. I found that as a very unique kind of beginning way to tell a story, because if you think about that, like, yeah, you tell any 12-year-old, like, look, it's your job to bring peace to everything. Most of them are going to be like, fuck you, it is, I'm out. like um so I thought that was kind of a very unique and interesting way to start this, like, kind of to start a story as well with that. um
Yeah.
the other
It's
thing.
also important to note that like Aang was also an outcast at the Air Temple.
Hmm,
So like the kids didn't really want to play with him. He mostly hung out with the adult monks, which is why like Monk Gyatso was so like important to him. It was his father figure. It was the person who taught him how to have fun in a place that was, hey, we're not here to have fun.
I will say this: after learning a bunch of the different people and a bunch of the different characters, obviously, I like. I'm gonna butcher the name. Is it Toph?
It's tough.
Fucking yes. The Earthbender. I fucking love. I'm watching it, and they go over it, and they're talking about this, and it's, is it a girl?
It is, yeah.
Oh, so
Toph
blind,
is
blind. So it was cool because they were talking about like how, like, she has a special connection with it, because not only is she an Earthbender, but also because she's blind, she can sense the, like the vibrations. So it makes her even
yeah.
more like even an even more powerful Earthbender. And then it went to a scene, and they were talking about like how, like, but she has problems sometimes in sand or in air. And it went to a scene of them in like like, it looked like they could have been riding on Appa, or
Yeah.
they were on a ship or something. And she's like, oh, "It's over there," and they all look, and there's nothing there. And then it's like her, and then she's like, "That's what you're all gonna say when you see it." And she turns and smiles at him, then like waves her hand in front of her face. And I was like, and I'm just sitting there like, I fucking love everything that has just happened.
Toph is easily like such a fucking show stealer. She is about Aang's age or a little younger. I can't remember her age when she's introduced to the show,
Okay.
but she's a secret underground um earthbending. So you know how there's the pro bending in Legend of Korra?
Nope.
Oh, okay, well, it's professional bending. It's like MMA and UFC with bending.
Oh, okay.
On 3 on each side team, and like you knock people back into different zones and off the ledge for points and stuff like that. And it's a last man
I was
standing
gonna say
type
that
of
sounds
thing.
fucking bad. Why isn't there a video game about this?
Because there's not enough hype around Avatar yet. That's why. But Avatar Studios is here, so we may get one.
Just make a video game based around that, yo. Like that, like, have a video game based around that where you get to use all the characters from all of the Avatar universe, and you can make your own character.
Oh, what, like an ultimate fight night? All avatars, all other
I'm just saying.
benders of note.
I'm just saying, there's esports for fucking everything. Could you imagine seeing an esports team where it's like, and we have Toph, we have Ang, and we have Azula ready to fight off? Like, yeah, fucking let this thing go. Come on. Easy money right there. Come on.
Yeah, it would be dope. Um, but you were mentioning about how Toph learned all of that stuff.
Hmm.
It's actually a thing. It's a running thing in the show that the strongest benders in the show actually learned techniques from the original benders.
Oh,
And
okay.
the original benders are the animals. So the badger moles, the flying bison, the dragons, and the koi fish.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So, like, the koi fish is like the moon and the tides type of thing. So they watched it from the moon, but like the moon and the moon spirit is a fish. So, you know, they're fish. They watch the fish to learn. But basically all of the great benders learn to bend that way. So Katara, really excellent bender. And she was mostly self-taught, but also would work with the water and work with the tides. She used the moon, and she taught Aang the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And when more like drawing symbolism from the team, Aang's first move that he learned in waterbending, he does an extreme avatar state version of that move to wipe out some people later on in the show, and it's pretty freaking cool. Also, I learned recently while putting this stuff together that there's actually peacocking for firebenders, so we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
But Toph learned she would run to the caves to hide and cry, and that's where she met the badger moles.
Oh, okay.
And they're the ones who first taught her how to earthbend. And she, like the badger moles who are blind, uses vibrations to feel their way around.
Now it'll make sense.
Yeah, that's why she's such a great bender, and that's why she uses a different technique than everybody else. Uncle Iroh, the amazing firebender that he learned directly from the fire dragons themselves some techniques as well. He is actually one of the few people that uses all bending techniques for fire bending. So water bending techniques, air bending techniques, like the fire breath to keep him warm. He learned that from air bending breathing techniques, how air benders keep themselves warm and stuff like that. So it's just like he takes every element of fighting and bending and just applies it to fire bending, and that's why he's so strong. I think that every bender would be stronger if they just learned different techniques, but they're all stuck in the traditionalism of their traditional cultural fighting styles. This is how they're taught, this is how they do it.
So because I'm trying to think of a way to make this fit in my head. So he basically like almost manipulates other like bending styles, but does it with the fire bending. Is that kind of like what like?
So, for example, with the one that I used, the fire breath type of thing. So, yeah, he mimics really.
Okay, thank you, John.
He learns if a airbender says, "This is the breathing techniques. This is every way to breathe like us." So that we can retain our warmth. However, you're not an airbender, so you can't do that. However, he was like hell I can't. And he pretty much just learned every fighting style, every bending style. And if you notice, when he goes to fight, he has an earthbending stance. He's very thick and low to the ground, and his arms are like very very firm when he goes to give his punches. He fights like an earthbender. He does not fight like a firebender.
Interesting. That's really kind of cool.
Yeah, and at the end, in the big Agni Kai between Azula and Zuko, they're both doing traditional firebending technique by just shooting straight ahead. That's traditional for them. However, Zuko mixes it up and throws the whole thing for a loop when he throws in an airbending technique, which is actually based on one of the voice actors' breakdancing techniques.
That's fucking awesome.
It is. This is such a beautiful show.
I mean, it really, like it's like I said, I've said it a few different times now, but they put a lot of fucking effort into this. I mean, I'm not saying that. Obviously, I'm not saying that other people or other shows didn't. Right. I'm just saying that like you can easily tell that like there was a very specific, very they had a very like this is our idea. Like our idea is 4 kingdoms. These are the kingdoms. These are the characters. This is what it's about. Okay, now evolve from there. and they
Yeah.
put a lot of time and effort into that evolution from the core thing that they did.
And it's very realistic too. In one of the episodes, Aang is inside the Fire Nation and poses as a Fire Nation student. And the teacher says, okay, who can tell me in what year the Fire Nation defeated the Air Nation army? And Aang's like, is that a trick question? The air nomads didn't have an army. And she's like, who are you to question our national textbooks?
Yep.
So it talks about like that kind of stuff too, how like obviously the victors write the textbooks and the history and they can form it to whatever they want it to be. And here is Aang like, no, that's not what happened. It was a genocide.
Man, I mean,
and with the whole character progression too, they show this is the whole peacocking thing that I was talking about. Is a part of the character strength development. So I'm going to show 3 things right now, or tell you because I can't show you something. But fire breath to keep warm, stopping the rain, and what was the last one? Oh yeah, and then firebending peacocking. So the fire breath at the beginning when Zuko is trying to take the North Pole, like take the Avatar from the North Pole, he's shown using his fire breath. It's a very orange, small flame, and it shows there's not very much oxygen. It's not a very controlled flame. He's very new to this technique. And by the time we get to the melting rock, which is a prison, he gets locked in an ice box that's specifically designed to stop firebenders from bending. Here we're shown him using that breathing technique again. However, this time it's a much brighter fire. It's a lot more warm. It's a lot more controlled, and it shows his progression in technique of controlling this.
Okay.
The next one is the rain with Katara. At the beginning of the show, she's walking around in the rain, and she lifts her hand, and she kind of creates her own umbrella around herself. Later on,
cool.
Yeah. Later on, I believe it's in the bloodbending episode, but I can't quite remember. It's shown again with her progression that she not only like she doesn't just stop the water above her head, but she stops the rainstorm in the viewable distance. And it's just water droplets floating. And yeah, so that's another. Yeah, she gets real strong. And then the last one, which was the funniest one, which is the coolest one too, is the peacocking. So apparently, firebenders shoot out of the mouth and the hands in kind of a star formation to show like their power, to demonstrate how much power they have, how much they can blow out of all ends, I guess. So you can see in earlier episodes like Aang, very wimpy, very small fire. You go to the Fire Lord on the day of the comet, which is the day that fire benders are the strongest. And he's shooting off things that are like taller than trees. His flames are huge, okay? And then for another comparison, in the same episode as that one, I think, or in like the part 2 of it, Aang in the Avatar state does the same peacocking move, and it's bigger than a fucking mountain, I'd say. It's ridiculous how big his is, and it's just like that's their power meter for the firebenders. So just imagine seeing that as a firebender.
God damn. So that was one of the questions that I did have. So we have the main 4 kind of tribes and the classic elements. Then I saw online, and you've mentioned it as well, bloodbending, and I saw metal bending. Okay,
and
so
lava bending.
Okay, so so go into those for me, because like I saw a little bit about the blood bending, the metal bending. It literally just said it, and then it didn't say anything about it. And obviously, I just learned lava bending now. So, of course, I'm assuming that lava bending involves controlling lava.
Yes.
All right,
Yes,
there
it
we go.
does.
Beautiful. Okay.
And I'll also get into lightning bending as well with that, I guess. So so in Avatar The Last Airbender is
Okay.
when we're introduced to the metal bending and the lightning bending. And essentially it shows us the evolution of bending. Bending has gone from what we see at the first Avatar of Avatar 1, just kind of shooting and doing what you need to do to get your foraging done, to over 10,000 years becoming this complex martial arts system that is unique to each individual culture. In that, they very much divided themselves. But like Uncle Iroh, he experiments in the other ways to bend, other methods and stuff like that. And that's how he came up with redirecting lightning. And their fire is essentially a source of energy, and it's like the release of that energy. And like it takes a moment to charge, but you can release the energy of lightning.
Okay.
And it's just like an extreme moment of energy and heat and combustion and stuff like that. And then that leads into the combustion bending, which I think is just a form of concentrated air bending. But then when you get into metal bending, it's a lot more simple. Metal is just earth. It's just a different type of mineral. It's just a different thing of earth. And after Toph put two and two together, wait a second, metal is just earth. She was able to focus on the fine metal, essentially. And she was able to bend the earth within the metal because metal is just earth. And when Sokka brings back a piece of space rock, she's able to bend that just fine too. So she can bend anything that's dirt related.
Oh, damn.
Lava bending. This one is a bit of a gray area for me because it's introduced in hybrids. So we have our character Bolin, and he's an earthbender, and we have our character Mako, his brother, full-blooded brothers, a firebender, because their parents were of different bendings.
Okay.
Bolin goes out of his way to be like his idol Toph, and he wants to be a metal bender because metal bending is the coolest thing in the world to him. And he just can't fucking do it. He's not a metal bender. He can't do it. But when he's getting attacked by a guy who can control lava and just like create it, he learns that he's a lava bender. So he kind of has the combination of earth and fire bending that gets turned into lava.
Okay.
But when this is why I'm not sure if it's really a combination of lineage or just a combination of skill and knowledge of, hey, I didn't know that could be possible. Maybe I should try it and see. Like it's so hard to say what came first because waterbenders can make ice. Why can't they heat things? Why can't earthbenders liquefy and solidify what they're working with if they have solid and liquid options as well as water does, you know?
Makes
So
sense.
it's a bit of a gray area for me on like where that really lands. So some people have the theory of if you just like focus on it, like, and it's in your wheelhouse, you should be able to accomplish that bending. But again, if that were the case, Bolin should be able to bend metal. Some people are just gifted in stuff, and it could be your level of chakra that's open, because you have to have your chakra in that element open in order to have that bending element, which is why you can't have more than one element without being the avatar, because like they aren't all open. All of the pathways aren't open. um So it's just weird, in hybrids, is it like a little bit of earth is open and a lot of fire is open? Or is it a lot of earth and a little bit of fire so you can more control heat of it? Is it just a technique, a focus, a skill set? Like, I can practice singing all I want, but I'm not going to win a Grammy for it, you know?
True, true. So because of course, as I've stated multiple times, I know fuck all about this. Tell me about the live action movie.
Mhm.
Tell me about the live action
Oh,
movie that I've heard so many great things about.
M. Night Shyamalan, let me tell you, my man done fucked up with his career on this one.
I mean, he fucked up a lot of things, but I mean, um,
Un Unpopular opinion,
okay,
I liked the movie for what it was.
okay,
I fully understand you cannot get everything into a movie.
true.
I think that they tried to squeeze entirely way too much in there. I think that they skipped over a shit ton of key plot points and brushed over a lot of like character growth and development, but and also whitewashed the whole fucking film.
That was one of the things I was about to ask about as well.
Uh but like outside of that, if we do not look at this movie as a product of the Avatar universe, if we look at this as a piece of art on its own, okay acting for American child actors, let's face it, we don't really have the best American child actors at that time. Um the graphics, they were good. They weren't that bad. They didn't showcase all the cool fighting style with it, but
That was
it's a kids movie.
that was one of the things that I remember seeing. Um, I remember at one point watching something about that, and it was about the fact of how it was like one of the fight scenes. I forgot which one it was. I think it was one of like the training scenes, and I think it was in the with the waterbenders. And it was like it was showing what it was in the live action movie, and then it immediately went and showed what it was like in the animated, and just how much better the animated version was. And I'm just kind of sitting there
Yeah.
like, you could have done that times 10 in
Exactly, exactly. And like
like
I said, as a standalone product, I think it's fine. As an addition to the franchise, it's a fucking nightmare. They don't showcase any of the fighting styles that are so crucial culturally to each of these places. They don't spend nearly enough time in the goddamn Earth Kingdom when they spend the most time in the Earth Kingdom.
see, I'm looking right now at the cast. Wow.
As for the whitewashing, I think at the time when that movie came out, it was still the norm of Hollywood. I was still so used to seeing white people in everything that it didn't jar me to see it. It was just like, okay, more white people, whatever. I don't pay attention. It's just white noise at that point. Huh.
Hmm.
But like looking at it with my eyes nowadays, I think that that was just so culturally insensitive for a show that did so much to be culturally sensitive.
I man, that's a lot of white people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
And
it's just oh god, what was the freaking movie now? The Wall. Have you ever seen The Wall?
I don't think I have.
So The Wall was like a movie about the Great Wall of China, why the Great Wall of China existed, and how it was really put there to protect China from this invasion from monsters that came here from another planet. And they only attack every like 1,200 years or something, some ridiculous story like that, right? But you watch it, and it's a cool idea. You watch the way that they're doing stuff, and it's very acrobatic, it's very kind of in a medieval setting, and of course it has a rich kind of foreign feel to it, of obviously with it being Great Wall of China, right?
Mhm.
And then the main cast, and then the main member of the main like actor in the movie is Matt Damon.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm I think it's called The Wall. I'm gonna look it up right fucking now. But like, yeah, Matt Damon is like the main person in it. It's Matt Damon. Oh God, who else is it? It's Matt. There it is. The Great
There
Wall.
are no Asians in Bossing Say.
Well, that's the thing, right? So they have a ton of foreign actors, but then out of nowhere there's Matt Damon, Pedro Pascal, and William Dafoe. Why?
I feel like Matt Damon just fucking shows up on movie sets. I feel like he's never actually hired for movies anymore. He just shows
He just
up
shows
and
up
they're
and it's
like,
just like, stop y'all.
like, we can't get rid of Matt Damon. We got a Matt Damon problem. Just let him in the movie.
I mean, it's just like, but yeah, like that's one of the ones like that's one of the first ones that I noticed in it was that, you know.
For
But man, all right, but okay. So continuing on with the great story of,
M. Night Shyamalan.
yeah, M. Night Shyamalan, Shyamalan.
Another frustrating thing
Mm-hmm.
to a lot of the fandom about the choreography is if you look throughout the entire series, most benders can manage on their own.
Okay.
Okay. You don't really get benders who can only kind of flick a stone. All right. Like they know how to move some big sized rocks. They know how to like fucking shove discs around and everything. They're not weak. It doesn't
Okay.
take 6 people
was
to
gonna
throw a rock.
I was about to say I'm reading Vandal's message in chat right now, and wow, that's a thing I did. Like I said, I watched like a couple like things on it. Of course, this is but I'm sitting and I'm like when it showed the live action version versus the animated version. I remember watching this a couple years ago, and I was just kind of like, how?
Yeah, they
Like,
acted like the entire I call it a dance. A lot of the moves are very beautiful, like dancing. So I'm just going to refer to them as dancing from here. But a lot of the dancing that they do, it I don't even remember what I was going to fucking say now because I said dancing too many times. What were you saying? Oh yeah, a lot of the dancing that they do is during their bending, as Korra explains in the earlier episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender. You have to move with the water. If you do not keep the flow of motion in your bending, you cannot hold that water.
yeah.
So why is it that it's a motion you have to maintain in the show as and all that stuff, and in the movie, it's a series of dance moves you have to do in order to get one thing to happen post dance. That whole near haka that they did for the Earth Kingdom to pull up that one boulder to throw it at someone. No, that's like a kick flip from someone. That's like somebody stomps their foot, a giant boulder lifts their foot, and they do a freaking like bend it like Beckham kick flip into the fucking goal.
It sounds like one of those things where you get a director who's like, I want to do this thing. And they're like, yeah, sure, you're a well known director here. But they don't respect and they don't understand the movie or the franchise or the universe, as we've stated multiple times. Because that's what more and more from you and from what I've seen, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like M. Night Shyamalan didn't, I don't want to say didn't care, but he didn't understand.
He didn't do enough research. It feels like they wanted a popular director for this movie because they just had their series finale. They were moving into comic books and they were trying to get into live action.
Mm-hmm.
And they went with someone who was popular and well known, but he clearly did not do his source material research. He did not pay attention to anything because if he had any clue as to what that show did or was about, he would not have rushed it. I don't know if you know, but the movie was originally slated to be a trilogy, and the first movie did so bad that they had to trash the other 2.
Yep. So that was one of the things. I didn't see the trilogy. I now read the word trilogy here after you say that. But yeah, no, I see it says he mapped out a rough draft for a second film that is darker and includes Azura, portrayed by another white woman, as the main antagonist. No such announcement was made. If the sequel would be made, he responded, I don't, because there are so many factors they take into account. Adding, I guess I will get into an area where it becomes a discussion like pros and cons.
Yeah, it's
Well, and it's one of those things, and it's a very, I feel like it's a very um commonplace thing in American in most American filmmaking these days, is especially with when you get big universes, right? To get the right people who care about the product and care about the characters, they care about the universe, and sometimes it can be pulled off wonderfully, right? And then other times, as we're talking about right now, it isn't. And but I feel like it's a lot of, because who's the Paramount Pictures? Yeah, because they've done a lot of decent movies. You know, like it's and I feel like that's a big issue anyway these days with filmmaking, right? I mean, like I'm looking here, so film series. Okay, so let's see, series wise, Jackass. Okay, SpongeBob. Okay, Transformers, Cloverfield, GI Joe, Paranormal Activity, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, they're not doing so hot.
I mean,
not a very good lineup.
no, not at all. I mean, like highest
Although I
grossing.
did like Transformers.
The Transformers movies weren't bad. It just like it was one of those things though where it progressively got worse and worse and worse, and then
Yeah.
it turned into just I'm not watching it.
They milked it.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series I found interesting because I'm a huge fan of Alan Ritchson. And he was one of the mocap actors for one of the turtles. I think he was the mocap for Raph. And he said that like they basically treated them like trash.
Oh,
Like the directors,
wow.
the studio, everything treated them like absolute trash. There's a whole YouTube video about it that you can watch, and it's the funniest thing just listening to him because he's talking about how at the end of it he starts talking about how he gets into the Titans TV show and how like everything that they've done is like everything that they promised. Unlike with, and it's like, it's like there's one time where like they tell them they have to stay late, so they have to stay late, and then they shut everything down.
I remember that.
As they're about to leave, they shut everything down, so it's just like all the main actors just standing there, like, so how the fuck are we gonna get like to where we're living right now? And they're like, I don't know, deuces. Like,
I think I might have heard a different story, but like there was a staff who was told they had to stay late, but they didn't notify like building security or something. So like the automatic locks ended up locking everybody in.
Yep, I'm almost 100% sure that's along the same lines. Like, it might have been the same, like the same story, or even both of those things happened. But like, it sounded like, I mean, like I'm looking here as well. It's like, okay, Titanic. Okay, cool, 1997. Transformers, Forrest Gump, Shrek the Third, Transformers, surprisingly, Iron Man, Iron Man 2. So that's before Disney got a hold of it. I mean, like you look at that, Indiana Jones. So it's like you look at a lot of these franchises; it's old franchises.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm gonna call it right now. They are sitting on Marvel level quality material. They have a fleshed out universe, a dedicated fan base, and room to grow. And with them ending the Avatar line, I know I briefly touched on that, but like what happens is remember Vatu and Rava from Avatar 1's story, the spirits that were fighting?
Okay. Yep.
Harmonic convergence is happening during Korra's time now. Oh, it's 10,000 years. It's every 10,000 years. That's why it's a 10,000 year later story. So harmonic convergence comes, and Korra is fighting with Rava, and Rava gets killed. And when Rava gets killed, that severs the avatar link. She no longer is an avatar.
Okay.
And eventually well, not eventually, I think it's like in the same episode, but she has to rebond with Rava. And when she rebonds, she has no link to her past avatar lives.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that's kind of how being an avatar works. You call upon your past lives when you're struck with confusion. If you're not sure how to handle something, maybe somebody else already handled this in the past, or maybe somebody has words of wisdom that isn't just murder. Yeah, so they can talk to their past lives about anything. And Korra losing ended that. So now any future avatars will only have her to talk to. And she wasn't the best avatar.
Good. So then that brings up now, of course, with COVID happening, everything kind of changed, right?
Oh, yeah.
People were inside more, as I noticed with stream. Within like a month period, I gained like 100 followers. Like everything changed. Like at a blink of an eye, everything changed. People were saying in more, people were having to find new things to do, and a resurgence happened. If I remember reading correctly, it became #1 on Netflix.
Yeah, I think that was Legend of Korra that hit #1 or #2 as well.
Wow! So basically, the entire universe hit 1, 2.
Yeah.
So moving forward, and from what I'm seeing here, okay, we have an untitled animated Avatar studio film, and we have a untitled live action series.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. So with you being the Avatar specialist, okay, what do you think? Is there any updates on the live? Because of course I'm thinking more live action than the animated right now, because live action is always more intriguing to me. Live action. No. What do you think it's going to be about? Do you think it's going to be a kind of a continuance of the story, or do you think it's going to be kind of a retelling of the story?
So I guess that depends on which live action you're talking about.
Oh, okay, interesting. Because the one here says it only has one listed, so I'm very intrigued now. Go on.
So there is, to fully understand, we got to go back to yesteryear of 2018 when young Netflix, not that young at that point, announced a live action remake of Avatar: The Last Airbender. And this was going to be a remake, and they were promising fans this is going to be what Shyamalan should have given you.
I love it.
And to my knowledge, it was supposed to be like a miniseries or something like that, but they were going to remake the entire series live action. And they had brought on, I think it's Mike DiMartino and Brian something, but Mike and Brian, I think, are the original creators of the Avatar universe.
Okay.
And they had brought on Mike and Brian to the team, and they were like, we brought on the original creators of the show, of the concept, of the characters, everything. Like, we brought on the original people. It's going to get done right. Let's get the hype rolling. And then that's when it started back up initially. That's when people were interested in it, because it's 4 years after the Legend of Korra ended in 2014, and this is, after the failure of another movie. So it seems like, they gave it a little bit of time for a good refresh and retry. Surrounding the hype of that, Netflix in 2020 at some point. I can't remember when they added Legend of Korra and Avatar: The Last Airbender. I want to say it was in 2020, but when they added that, because like you said of COVID, everybody was at home and watching it again, and everybody was falling in love with those old TV shows. And that's when the live action series, I think, really started to get more traction on it, and people were starting to like really get their ear to the ground on like, okay, well, like, hey, I was just reintroduced to this thing I absolutely love, and Netflix has been teasing a live action better than Shyamalan's. Okay, original creators too. Okay, and then towards the end of 2020, Netflix announced that Mike and Brian had left the creative team.
Oh.
And it's, they've been quoted saying that the series was essentially becoming something that they didn't want it to be. They were having like creative differences, and they just didn't agree with where the project was headed.
Ooh.
And I think
I'm
that
seeing that here.
Yeah, I think that if the original creators of a universe say, hey, this isn't what we want for our universe, it kind of tells you how the series is already going to go.
Well, and that's I'm looking at this article right here, and it's it's the voice actors talking about it, and they're kind of like saying, it's like, what are they gonna do? Like, how do you, like this one here says, Olivia Hack, the voice of Ty Lee, said, especially when you're doing the exact same series but as a live action, you're not adding on to it or expanding the universe. You're doing the same thing, which feels redundant. But I don't know. Like a lot of the like I'm seeing here, it's just like it's like 4 or 5 different voice actors all saying kind of the same thing, which is like why redo it?
I think they wanted to redo it because one, it wasn't done properly the first time, and fans were really let down. And I know that Mike and Brian want to give the fans what they deserve and what they want to give them. And I mean, you can tell because they up and left the project.
Oh yeah.
They were like they're not going to go through what they went through with Shyamalan again, which I don't even think they were consulted on that project, if I remember.
That's wild.
But yeah, so that's why I asked which one, because after they left, not too long after, Paramount and Nickelodeon announced the opening of Avatar Studios.
Yep, you were telling me about this.
Yeah. And Avatar Studios also has like no confirmed set dates yet. But the studio head, Brian Robbins, had said, they're in the early stages of developing and exploring. But right now they think that the universe will encompass a theatrical film, animation, which to me is, I'm not really sure what they mean by that, but like a theatrical film to me either means like a theatrical long version of an Airbender story, which I'll get into a theory of what I think that's going to be. Or it's going to be another live action theatrical film, but with them as the heads, because they definitely made sure to say a theatrical film and animation, and went to further separate it by saying, and multiple TV series and multiple films. So they're talking a lot of projects.
So right here. In February 2021, it was announced that a theatrical animated film will be released by Paramount, with production set to begin later in 2021. It would serve as the first project from Avatar Studios.
Yeah, so that was originally announced to be their first project, was a animated film, but since then they've come out saying, well, it might not be the film first.
Okay.
Because they're not settled in the creative process to really know what they're going to put out first. However, they have said that what they're going to be putting out is going to be Airbender universe focused, and it's also been commented on that they're going to do kind of like a catch up. Like that whole animated film has been kind of rumored and commented that it's going to take place in between the end of The Last Airbender and the beginning of Legend of Korra. So that's kind of what is being tossed around in the rumor mill and the comment of like what they've been talking about and stuff like that. So we may just get a catch up to now, which personally, I think that if they're going to put out a series introducing it to an entirely new generation, in an entirely new manner. It wasn't being streamed back then. It was weekly new episodes. And now they're going to be able to watch them on streaming services. So they can crank out way more content for that large audience.
Yeah.
But with that whole like wanting to do a film release, I fully believe that they're going to absolutely underhand Netflix and do their own live action. And they've commented that they're not gonna, like, Paramount says, hey, their Netflix is gonna do what they want to do. That's gonna be their own separate property and entity, and we're gonna be over here doing our thing. They're gonna be separate, and that's all they've said about it.
It's interesting that that's able to happen, because a lot of times it all comes down to trademarks and who owns said trademark and this and that. So it's interesting. Like, I find that very interesting now, knowing that kind of, because it feels like almost like Netflix either shouldn't have the trademark or they have the trademark for the series that they're gonna do. It's like,
That's Yeah, that's what it falls into, is creative property and creative rights. So if Paramount, this is what's going on with Spider-Man right now, actually, is lending of copyrights. So Fox is close to losing Spider-Man's copyright, and it's going to go into a public domain where Disney can purchase it very quickly and easily, if they don't like correct some stuff that they've been doing with Disney. Disney is pretty much trying to like swindle their way into Spider-Man, but let's not dive into that.
yeah, that's a whole nother
Yeah.
a whole nother bag. No,
Yeah.
I mean, that's very interesting. So then this is my question then, and it goes into multiple different things here. So kind of, like, where do you see the story going, especially when you said, and this is what I wrote down earlier, in the thing there where there's the avatars and there's statues and everything. You said there's only 2 left. So if there's no more statues left, there's no more avatars left, where would the story then go from then on?
I think the best part about the Avatar universe, I know I said this earlier, is the universe. It's already built. If we're already at the end,
Okay.
we have 10,000 years worth of Avatar stories to explore, not to mention the fan favorite, which became extraordinarily popular in her own comic series post the TV series, is Kyoshi. Though it was a mathematical error, the creators continued with it, and she is canonically 230 years old. That's 230 years of Avatar crap we could see. Now, she was one of the avatars that people around the world didn't really like because it was mostly believed to be a time of peace, which is why she focused on just protecting her tribe. But the fact that she was so hell bent on protecting her tribe and the Kyoshi warriors, who weren't the Kyoshi warriors yet, but like it was like a heavily biased thing. So like the other nations weren't actually fond of Kyoshi because she was so biased towards the Earth Nation, and you can't do that as the or as the Avatar.
Okay.
So it would be really cool to kind of see some slice. Like, she murdered someone. She created Kyoshi Island by literally breaking this chunk of continent away and shoving it into the ocean.
Oh, damn.
Like, she's a badass warrior and the Avatar and lived for 230 years, and we only get to see a little snippet of what she was like as the Avatar when Aang was on trial for a murder she committed.
So basically, what we're saying is that instead of not advancing the story, that's the wrong way of wording it, but instead of looking forward, almost looking backwards because of that 10,000 years. Is that what you said? 10,000 years.
Yeah.
Because that 10,000 year gap, look back to that for the content, which I think is a really kind of cool thing, because especially, you have the stories from present day, you have the original story, and you have little bits and stories here and there. You can even throw in little hints of things that will a future happen, into those old stories, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's a very interesting storytelling, especially for big fans of the franchises, right? I think that's a big not a like opportunity, but um it's a unique storytelling decision.
It's an Easter egg, it's good callback, good
Yeah. Like,
tie-ins.
for instance, one of the ones that I was saying for a long time before we had Robert Pattinson become the Batman, I was saying that we should keep Ben Affleck as Batman and have him go into like a scene where like something happens and it reminds him of a previous mystery or like thing that he had to solve, and then the movie basically flashes back into his younger years because in the DC universe he's 20 years old as Batman, like it's 20 years in as Batman. So you have 20 years you can like kind of investigate and fully flesh out. And I thought that it would be cool if moving forward they did a Batman trilogy where it kind of flashes back and flashes forward, kind of constantly relaying the two, because then you can show death in the family, you can show Under the Red Hood in the future, you can show Hush, and you can just kind of hit different multiple little points here. So, like for me as a fan of DC, I thought of that, and I thought that'd be the most cool, unique way of doing it. And
Yeah.
just thinking to what with what you're saying and how much there is lore there, that would be a really cool thing to see. I think.
Oh, yeah, and, not even like, not every avatar was interesting.
Hmm.
There's a Wikipedia fandom page for almost every single avatar except for the ones that are not mentioned in any references. Um, but, like, there was one guy who was just, like, a drunk, depressed dude who ended up being the Avatar, and he had nothing going on, and he was busy fighting, like, shadow demons that nobody else could see, and he's off at this, like, spirit war, and nobody can understand, and, like, he ends up, like, dying alone and sad, and it was a heartbreaking tale for an Avatar, and it's just, like,
That
that
would
right
be
there.
that would be a cool fucking just one-off series. Just do like
That's
10,
what.
like 8 episodes. Boom.
Yes, and that's where I think it's going. So, like,
That's really
I'm
cool.
gonna I'm gonna just, like, kind of touch on other shows that are doing it. But if you see a lot of the TV shows that are going up on Netflix and streaming platforms, they're giving you like anywhere from like 6 to 10 episodes
Hmm.
per season, when a television show that runs on TV is like what, 20, 30 episodes a season.
Yeah, most
So
of most of the Arrowverse shows were like 20 to 22. I think 23, something like that.
yeah. So if we take those little stories, we can have an Avatar series where we follow from the start Avatar Wan for like 6 episodes, Avatar Kyoshi for 6 episodes, Avatar Kuruk for 6 episodes. And it's just like you kind of get a taste of it. And then when we get towards the end, we get Avatar Aang in his adulthood for 6 episodes. And
Hmm.
then we get Avatar Korra either before we meet her in her earlier younger days when she was with the White Lotus all the time, or we can just put it in the future when her and Asami are together, the spirit world and the mortal realm are now connected. Like you can move forward from there and like touch on her there. I think like the Avatar series as a whole is just like you could just do so much just off of each avatar themselves. Each one of them is interesting.
Yeah.
There's one that doesn't have any arms. And in Legend of Korra, we saw having or not having arms isn't an issue for benders.
Hmm.
You can just create arms out of literally anything. And oh, like freaking disabilities shown in the Avatar universe
Hmm.
aren't even disabilities. It's like, oh hey, I can't walk, so my dad invented this glider for me to fly.
Yeah. Well, like I was saying with Toph, I thought that was really cool. Just kind of the whole thing is like she's blind, but she's an
Yeah.
earthbender, but she's the strongest earthbender because of so like to basically turning that disability into into power. And I thought like it's always a really good thing to do, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, you don't have to, especially if you don't have to force it. And it seems like they did a great way of not forcing that.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big subtle guy. I like the subtlety of it.
Even the subtlety of non-bending being a disability is addressed. Um the Kyoshi warriors are uh not benders. Well, some of them might be, but like they're not based in bending fighting styles. They're like hand-to-hand combat warriors.
Okay.
And something that is completely overlooked for Sokka is, so Sokka's not a bender, and everybody like makes the memes about his boomerang and stuff. But if you pay attention to Sokka's side story following around Aang, every nation he goes to, he masters their non-bending fighting style.
Interesting.
So he goes to the Earth Kingdom, he masters the Kyoshi warrior fighting style. He goes to the Fire Kingdom and he learns a Fire Nation sword fighting style. He goes to the Water Temple. Oh wait, what does he do at the Water Temple? He has his boomerang for the water people. What was the other one? Air. Oh yeah, he freaking invented airships basically. Like the airship wasn't working and he had to fix it. And he can like he's a freaking engineer.
That's wild. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So to wrap up, Avatar. Tell me about the strongest character in the entire show. Tell me about the Cabbage Merchant.
Oh my gosh, the Cabbage Corp guy.
Yep.
Oh, he is a treasure.
I saw it and immediately I was like, opening this tab. I have to leave this one open. Like I saw it and it's like the amount of times that I like while watching the reviews and reading the different things that this guy was brought up, I had to ask about him. So please.
So the Cabbage guy is, it's like a long time running joke. Basically, you know how in movies, if you watch Transformer, anytime a good guy hits a car, the windows are fully tinted, so you can't see that they're actually hurting people. But anytime a villain hits a car, you can see the family inside.
Yep.
I feel like it's kind of the same. So like Aang and his crew can't be seen hurting actual people, but what can they be seen doing? The same thing, breaking the same cabbage. Only one person suffers from the gang, and that's Cabbage Corp Man.
Oh no.
So it's like in all of the chaos and destruction that happens, the only thing they focus on that the gang breaks is that man's cabbage cart. Everything else is essentially broken by the bad guys. And I think that's kind of why they do that. That's my theory.
That's fucking.
But
that's hilarious.
I love Cabbage Corp guy. He's an adorable addition.
I mean,
and in Legend of Korra, he actually became Cabbage Corp, which is Cabbage Corporation. And he lost his business. It went over, and they were dragging him away. And he was like, "My Cabbage Corp."
No. Okay, there's a Funko Pop of him. Oh my god, I love it.
Yeah, he's a fan
I
favorite.
love it. I love it. I said, moving on. So now on to another fan favorite. By fan, I mean you and let's see, you, Danny, Meg, one of the Sims.
Yeah.
So funny story. I've actually played The Sims.
You have?
So I started thinking about this after you had said about it, and I have played The Sims. So I'm going to look real quick to see based off of the years. So I'm assuming that it was either The Sims or The Sims 2. It was.
Well, The Sims came out in 2000.
Yeah. So it was when I was in high school. I went to. Well, this is gonna fucking date the shit out of me. So I went to the local video store that had video games, and I was like, yeah, I want to try The Sims. I've seen stuff about this. And I remember playing it, and like, I didn't get to create my character. I didn't create a house. I didn't get to create anything. I was just a sim in a world, and I couldn't figure anything out. And I took it back like the very next day.
You had to have been playing The Sims 1.
Okay.
Because what happens in The Sims 1 is you come in as this like default character, and you're thrown into like a story mode.
That's probably what it was then.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think you were playing The Sims 1, which I think I had on GameCube.
Yep, that's what it would have been, because that was what I had back in high school. I had a GameCube. God, that's funny. But yeah, so that's my Sims experience. Other than watching you guys, having fun and uh, causing all the mayhem. I'm trying to think. I watched a YouTuber play it as well.
Is it a guy or girl?
I don't remember who it was.
Because we've got James Turner, Delegracy, Plumbella. Like, there's not many guys that do this. So, like, if it's a dude, I'll be able to pinpoint it.
I think it may have been
There's
it might have been like like a Markiplier or like Daz Games or
oh, okay, one of
yeah, it
those.
was one of the ones that do a lot of different games, and one of them did The
Okay.
Sims at one point. I might look it up while we're going on this. But okay, so The Sims. So tell me about The Sims, because like I said, my understanding of The Sims is watching you guys make people, make houses, make babies, and that's my understanding of The Sims.
I mean, that's it. That's what you got right there. You got a video game.
You got a game.
um well, I mean, I'd say that my Sims experience probably started at about the same time as yours if we both started on the GameCube.
Mhm.
Um
It was Daz Games. Okay, there we go. I
um
thought it was yes, because he had a character named Big Boobs.
but essentially it started in 2000. That's when I started playing it. And to me, my takeaway from the game is that it's a virtual doll that you can create, and then you
Mhm.
can play with that virtual doll in a virtual doll house in a virtual doll world where it's completely interactive. You can, play with dolls that were already existing that you didn't customize or anything like that. You can change the outfits and everything. And like, this is kind of where the line goes in the community of why people think that it's a girl game and not a gamer game, because
Okay, I see what you're
it's
saying.
essentially playing dolls. Like, it's playing make pretend. It's pulling stories from inside my head and digitalizing them.
Hmm.
Um, but because we use our imagination to create our story instead of just shooting at people, it's not a game, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Well, it's like, and I've said this. I've said this to my buddies John, Jeff, Rob, for a while now. Because like I used to do when NCAA was a game, I used to do franchises in NCAA, and every now and then I would do my player mode, and I would give my player, and I would go through and I'd give them a backstory. They went to this high school, they did this, they did that, they're going to this college, they're saying fuck the system, they're saying this, they're saying that. And I used to do all that shit while I was playing. I had a little like composition notebook at one point where I wrote down the stats every season. I didn't show
That's
anyone
dope.
this. This is just something that I did. Like I just wrote down the stats every season. I had like a 50-year season going with North. I think it was North Texas Mean Green, and I just had all of the statistics from every season that we had. Like this is what this is what my quarterback did. This is what my running backs did. This is what my wide receivers did. This was my defense. Like, and I remember doing that, and then like now, of course, now that I'm into streaming and content creating and everything, I'm seeing that I'm like, God, if I would have started back when I was doing that, like holy shit. Like, but yeah, it's along the same lines, right? Like, it's creating a kind of like creating your own universe.
Yeah. And it's a lot of fun because, like, me personally, I love just like diving into these imaginary worlds, playing with these imaginary people, and just like, it's it's TV you have to write for yourself.
Hmm.
Like, that's all it is. And I really love that. I love how creative and how nearly limitless this game is. And it kind of, to me, if you like survival games but don't like any of the farming and the grinding, you'll like The Sims. Like, you don't have to fight anything. You just build all day. You can create different characters. Like, I know a lot of people that spend a shit ton of time in their creative characters for their games. Like, when Cyberpunk came out, like, everybody was in there for at least an hour on their streams. Like, I saw people in there for 3 hours creating their characters. And I'm just like, the Sims has a function for you to create as many as you want
Hmm.
and play with them all at once.
Yeah, I mean,
And like,
it's. I mean, you're not wrong because, like, of course, with a lot of sports games, they have the story, the single player kind of like this your story mode, and like, yeah, like I could easily spend like an hour, hour and a half, like making my character, like.
Yeah, and like how many times do you see him without a helmet on?
Yeah, exactly, right? Like,
um so yeah, I guess that's what The Sims is to me, is just like a virtual dollhouse. And like
I
that
think that's a
sounds
real.
girly to call it a doll, but like
Fuck it if it's girly, like that's a great way of putting it though, because like that's never a way that I would have thought to explain it to someone, but it's such a great way to explain to someone. It's a virtual dollhouse basically, which is really kind of a cool thing, especially in with the path that we're going as a society, where everything is becoming more virtual, more online, more this and that, and
yeah,
the other thing
and
is like
I
life
I can
simulation is the genre, right?
yeah. If you think about it, like as a little girl growing up, I had Barbies, I had Brat dolls, and my neighbor had GI Joes, and he would come over and we would just play. And like that's just how you play as a kid, is with dolls. That's how you discover the world. That's how you express like things that are going on in your mind, and how you
Mhm.
explore things in a safe manner. And I think that The Sims is just an extension of that for adults. Like, I'm not going to go out and buy a dozen Barbies to play through this little thing that's in my head.
What? You're not gonna do that?
Not anymore. Not that I've got The Sims. um,
One is.
but I've gone through like so many different storylines, like I've been on like a real like Eastern kick lately. So all of my gameplay has included more uh ethnically Asian people in it,
Mhm,
versus before, where it was more focused on having more like black people in it. And before that, it was just whatever The Sims gave me, which was a
mhm.
bunch of white people.
Well, and I think that's also it's one of the things that you see it more these days, and it's missing, right? And it's kind of the imagination part of it, and the creation part of it. You look at a lot of the stuff, and it's like I always go to movies because movies are either prequels, sequels, reboots, or remakes.
At this point.
That's it. You very rarely will find a completely brand new original thing, right? Like we were talking about earlier. Avatar's taken like 12 years, 20 years, whatever the fuck it's gonna be, but to come out with a sequel,
Hmm.
you know, and it's just
And
I've
people aren't even asking for it.
exactly. So I think it's a very unique one with The Sims, where like it's one of the simulation games, and I think a lot of the simulation games are like this, where it lets your imagination run, and you can kind of like if you put someone down with it, you can kind of tell the people that are more imaginative and creative than the people that aren't. Because the people that are creative, more imaginative, they'll sit down and they'll struggle for a moment trying to figure it out. But then as soon as they figure it out, though, it's game on. And they're like, now they're doing this, they're doing that, they're doing this, they're doing that. Why'd you do that? Well, I did this because Lindsay over there is a bitch and nobody likes her, but everyone likes Todd. So fuck Lindsay. I'm putting a fucking wall around her house. Like that sort of thing, right? Like, and the people that aren't as creative will like create one person or get bored of it very quickly, and it's oh yeah, okay, yeah, whatever.
A
Like,
lot of people come to me like, "What do you even do in The Sims? What do you not do in The Sims?" I went ice skating, got ice cream, went on date, became a pop star, and that was all before noon. So what are you
exactly. Like
doing?
recently, I hung out with a friend recently, and they don't understand streaming, they don't understand gaming, they don't understand any of it, and it was funny to me because one of the things that she said was, "You're living in a fake world of fake friends," and I looked at her, and I'm like, okay, I was like, I'm happy. So what the fuck does it matter? And she's like, it matters. And I was like, okay. I was like, what do you wish you were doing right now? And she told me, I was like, well, you're not doing that. So therefore, you're living on a fake world and a fake, this, that, this, that. And like, I actually like pissed her off by saying this stuff to her. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, what? Like, it's who cares? It's a release, it's a release. It's a way out of things, right? And that's one of the things that I think is kind of cool with the life simulation thing. Like, for instance, right, COVID just happened. You physically, you couldn't go ice skating on a date, become a pop star, like all these things. You couldn't do that during COVID. I mean, pop star maybe with TikTok, but right, like with a game like The Sims, it's like, man, I wish I could go to the beach. Load the system up. All right, I'm gonna take this bitch to the beach. Yeah, you lay there. Yeah. Oh, hey, let's get this guy over here. Hey,
It's
what's up?
it's genuinely like that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I sit here and sometimes, especially during COVID, I get a little cabin fever, and I'm just like, I think I'll send my sim to Sulani, and they can just like go swim with dolphins for a little bit today. Or I'm gonna go snowboarding the slopes on Mount Komabori today. Just go do some Zen writing on my computer, just me in my own little world.
Right, and I think that's it's a very um unique thing because, like you said, like could it have the appearance of like it's a girly game? It could. But overall, though, it's the main thing of it is really like it's a life simulator. It's basically like you know what, I'm gonna make a new person, right? I wonder what I'd look like if I had a six pack. Okay, I wonder what I would look like if I had a fro. Huh.
Yeah.
What would I look like if I was black? Oh, okay. I want to be. I can be a rocket scientist. Fuck yeah, I'm a rocket scientist. I'm a rocket scientist. You
And The
know.
Sims has even added a storybook mode, which you go in and there's just this silhouette of an avatar, and you answer questions, and it's optional. You answer questions, and it builds your Sim's personality and gives you like,
Oh,
oh
that's
hey,
kind of cool.
uh, you're now a writer level 3. You have the mansion baron career aspiration. You come from a moderate background of money, so you start out with more or less money than the normal starting range and stuff like that. And yeah, it's pretty cool. So you can end up with a really cool character that's very successful in life already right off the bat, or you can end up with like a loser and then have to start over.
Hmm. I mean, that would suck if you answered all the like. Could you imagine? Like, this is one of the ones where, like, kind of like it, like, you play games to escape the world, but this is one of those moments where, like, you play the game and it's like, I'm gonna answer all these questions like I would in real life, and you answer all of them, and it's like, you're a loser, and it's like, thanks, game. Didn't already think
some
that.
some of it is just like randomly generated, like
Yeah.
how much money you're gonna start with. But like, let me tell you, starting with like 10 grand versus 30 grand is a big difference.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine. Um, so what's some things right now like with the products, right? Because of course I didn't realize that The Sims is on the GTA plan of not coming out with anything really new since 2014, like GTA with GTA 5. It looks like it's just a bunch of DLC stuff. Am I
It
seeing that
is.
right?
Yeah. So the Sims franchise works based off of DLC, which with this recent installment, The Sims 4, has actually kind of pissed off the community quite a bit because it
Oh,
seems like we're getting less and less content for a higher cost.
okay.
Um, and that's actually the most recent upset of the community. I'm very active in Sims news. But a really big upset right now in the community are the recent kits. So if you're looking right now, you'll see that 3 things were recently released,
Okay.
and it's like some like retrofit country kitchen and bust the dust, something like that. And these things bring in like 90s retro activewear, which by the way, all of it's super cute and I want it, but we'll get to it in a second of why I don't have it. Bust the dust, which adds another dynamic to the simulation of life, which is vacuuming. You'll end up getting dust bunnies, your house will get dustier, and you have to vacuum and clean it up. It sounds weird, but like, the community voted stuff pack the first time that happened. We all voted for laundry day because we wanted laundry in our games. We're weird people who need dirt and cleaning in our games.
I just love the idea of it, just because it's like, you can be like, God, I gotta do laundry, and it's like, okay, so do laundry. All right, I will. And you like boot up your PC, and it's like, the fuck are you doing? I'm gonna do laundry. It's fucking
if
great
you
though.
if you don't put in any like washing machine or wash tub and stuff to do your laundry, your Sims won't actually end up creating dirty clothes. But if you do have any of that stuff in there, they will accumulate dirty laundry, and it is a bitch to keep up with. I have to hire a butler anytime I have a washer and dryer.
Damn, that's funny.
Yeah,
That's
but
funny. I mean, like
the
I'm looking right here, and it's like, holy shit, there's a lot of DLC.
yeah, so the kits, back to the kits. The reason why people are so upset right now is that it's an international bitch fest right now, because here in the US for $4.99 you can be overcharged content from those 3 packs. Why are they overcharged? Well, they're overcharged because the number of assets you get in them. When broken down by assets that you get in packs, you have your expansion packs, your game packs, your stuff packs, and now your kits. And each tier has a different expected amount of content. The kits, however, using the same pricing method that they use for the other 3 packs, this thing's being overcharged by like $2 to Americans. Now, it's a $5 pack. You may be thinking that's not a big deal, but mathematically, it should only be $3. And we all, as a community, think that the amount of stuff in the pack should have been free to begin with, because the 90s stuff could easily have been thrown into Snowy Escape or into, the fitness pack, but that one came out many years ago, so I'll write that one off. Snowy Escape could have easily fit that colorful 90s palette. Bust the Dust could have come out with either Laundry Day or maybe eco-friendly pack, the eco stuff pack, eco lifestyle, I think it is. And then what's the last one that I said was the kit?
Throwback Country Kitchen and Bust the Dust.
Country Kitchen. Everybody's upset with that because we got Cats and Dogs, which was country themed. We got a kitchen stuff pack. It was called Cool Kitchen Stuff. Didn't get any of the stuff for it in there. And we've gotten like other things that are like country adjacent themed. We just got Nifty Knitting. And they just never gave us anything country themed. And it feels like they're milking it, trying to get us to buy the one thing we've been asking for, which is country themed kitchens. And now it's like, oh, hey, you can have it in this pack. And
Well, like
everybody's like, no.
well, this is like, so. For instance, because of course, like fucking blowing my mind with all this. So expansion packs, you have to buy those.
Yeah, you have to
Game
buy
packs.
everything.
So it's one of those things. Like, even though you're saying it's only like a $2 thing, at the same point though, it's not, because if you have to buy each one of these kits and you have to buy the 18 stuff packs, the 9 game packs, and the 10 expansion packs, at the end of the day, that's turning into a pretty penny.
Yeah, it's several $100s that I've spent on this game. We won't go into how much money and how many times I've bought these games, but mathematically, it's over, I think, $300 to buy everything fresh, not
Damn.
discounted. Yeah, but you don't have to buy every pack, and a lot
Well,
of
of
people
course you
just
don't. I
pick
mean,
and choose for the content that they want.
Mhm.
And the base game itself, I believe annually or like biannually, it does get free content added to it. It does get updated still regularly and gets free content. Like we got Lunar New Year content, we got Hispanic Heritage Month content. We had a Day of the Dead holiday like years ago. Like they're doing all of this stuff in base game to keep just base game players happy. You do not have to buy the other packs to enjoy this game. However, you need to buy all this packs to fully enjoy this game.
It's one of those ones.
I love all of the stuff, like the get to work stuff, the college university stuff, the Snowy Escape that brought all of the Asian aesthetic, in addition to city living, that also had somewhat of a Chinese theme to it. And it's just like you can have more. And that's the thing, is you can have a fully functional game to give you what you want, but they give you the option for more. And people like me who can't control themselves buy it all. But like with this new stuff, like I was saying, the pricing itself isn't even consistent internationally. So where we're being charged $5 here and the community thinks it should be about $3 American dollars, in Australia, they're being charged the equivalent of like $7 US. And in England, it's like $6 US. And it's like everywhere else is like more expensive because of the conversion rate. But like it doesn't make sense. Why are they being charged 15 Australian dollars if it converts to $6 American dollars?
Well, you see, the reason why is because it's a small indie company known as Electronic Arts that owns it, right? This is a
But
small
this is
indie. This is a small indie company. Doesn't make that much money. It doesn't have all the sports franchises. Doesn't have Apex Legends. Doesn't have any of that stuff. Just a small indie company. I think it's like a couple, 2, 3 guys. Yeah, no, I don't fucking get it because it's the same thing with like it's an EA thing. EA does this all the
Yeah.
fucking time. It's the same thing with recently in Apex they released bundles because fans have been kind of bitching about the pricing in that as well. And one of the things that they released was they released 2 bundles. One of it you get a character and a weapon. The other one you get a character and a weapon. The only problem is though is that the gun for character 1 is the same skin model as the character in bundle 2. And the gun in bundle 2 is the same as the skin in bundle 3. So if you want to get the gun and the skin, like the character skin and the gun skin, you have to buy 2 different bundles, like that sort of thing. They recently now have switched it because of the big outcry that the fans threw. But like, yeah, it's just it's an EA thing, and I don't know why they do it, considering that they make plenty of fucking money as it is.
Well, here's why people are upset is that this is the first time international pricing has ever been different.
Okay, interesting then.
So if it's $5 US internationally, whatever that conversion rate is, it will equal to $5 US. And this is the first time that it's equaling to like $6 and $7 and $10 when it's only supposed to be 5.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah, so that's another big deal. And then some people, even after fully purchasing all of the packs, the recent kits, people were logging in and it was saying that they needed to purchase the kits. They would not have any access to it. It would say owned, but they would not be able to access it. And it would, yeah. So it's just been one big like clusterfuck about that. But when it comes to like not releasing a new game since 2014, we are actually on the other side of the hill for that.
Okay.
It's recently been announced that they are actively starting on The Sims 5.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why they've gone this along with The Sims 4 is because they didn't see a need to change it. The fan base loved the gaming system. The gaming system was able to support everything that they, as creators, wanted to put into it. And with the launch of Discovery University, there was a certain operating system platform that they will no longer be able to support The Sims after that update.
Okay.
So The Sims wanted to move forward with giving newer computers a better gaming experience, and they started what was the legacy update. And that is the last update you can get, and you cannot buy any more content from them after that update if you have like a certain type of computer and earlier for what their systems require. So they had already started moving forward with wanting to have a better, smoother operating system for everyone. And that was the first step that they took. However, now I think that it's getting to a point where the game just no longer functions and they're still adding content. And
Okay.
and the kits I think are could have been one of two things. They can either be a test run to see how microtransactions will appeal to the audience going into The Sims 5, or it's a last ditch effort before next year's EA Play and they announce The Sims 5. I think the kits are just a way to get that last hit of money. Now they still have other packs slated to launch this year, and they're still going to continue to release packs like they did for The Sims 3 until the next Sims installment comes out. So until we actually get a Sims 5, we're still going to keep getting Sims 4 content. Me personally, as a Sims player, even before my graphics card started dying, that game was one of the first games to start dying for me because it's so broken. And what they've actually introduced is what's called as a laundry list now. So moving forward, they're like being more transparent with the community, saying, hey, these are the current things that are going to be fixed in the next patch. This is what we're currently working on, and this is what we want you guys to know. And I think that that's going to be great for the community moving forward, so the community doesn't get their hopes up that this next patch is going to fix what we've been complaining about.
I mean, the transparency thing is really good because I know as for a fact as an Overwatch fan, um, yeah, not too happy about everything that's been going on with that. But yet again, that's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so. So future looks like it's been laid out. Then the future is we're getting the Sims 5. So now my question for the future of that is, of course, like I said, I'm seeing all this DLC stuff. So this is my thing. If it's the Sims 5, you should have all of this within it, right?
No. So each iteration or each installment of The Sims comes with its own individual expansion pack.
Okay.
So The Sims 3, for example, had like Make and Magic and Paranormal, whereas, or like Paranormal like Friends or something. I don't freaking remember. It's been so long since I played The Sims 3. But essentially, like these packs got you vampires, werewolves, fairies, magic, whereas in The Sims 4, we have The Sims 4. Gosh, what are all my packs called? I'm drawing a blank. We have vampires, which is the vampire pack. We don't have werewolves in this game. We have, gosh, what pack did Glimmerbrook come in? It's not Making Magic. It's the magical pack. Let me look that up real quick.
So that's really interesting. And so like, because for me, if I was a fan, I would want all the content from the previous iteration coming forward.
Oh, it's called Realm of Magic. Yeah, so you would think that, and thankfully, the modding community is so loyal and so dedicated to this game
Mm-hmm.
that typically immediately after a new Sims iteration is launched, somebody will go through and skin and redo all of the assets so that you can download them as a mod and put them into your Sims game, and you can have previous Sims content in your new game. The modding community and custom content community to The Sims 4 is freaking huge. Huge. Like whatever The Sims doesn't let you do base game, you
Mm-hmm.
can find it in a mod.
Okay. That's I mean
Sans
that's
pedophilia. Like
good
you
then.
cannot find anything pedophilic. Something fucking came up one time recently. Something came up and the whole community was on it like a fucking bushfire, dude. Like everybody hates that shit in the community and they work so hard to keep it out. And that's another beautiful thing about the community is like there a lot of the community are people who are members of the LGBT community and members of like minority communities and stuff like that who go somewhere to have a voice in a society where they have none,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere to express how they really feel in things. And it's so important to have that.
Oh yeah.
Um, what was I saying beforehand?
You were saying about different packs and being able to transition like everything from one game to the next.
Oh,
Yeah, that's where
yeah,
we're at.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, when I go on like tangents, I totally forget.
Yeah, you're
Um,
fine.
but yeah, so with all those packs, like the community does take like some favorite items and reskins them and gives them to the community to for free to put into their games.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there are free custom content packs that are better than what Maxis gives us. And tell me
That's
why
awesome.
it is 2021 and I do not have a borderless window.
It's
Okay?
fucking yeah. Hey,
I should be
as
able to have a glass wall without freaking frames.
yeah that. So where do you see the Sims franchise going? Because of course, like you said at the beginning, it's very much a kind of a open say life simulator dollhouse where you get to kind of create your own thing, your own world, your own characters, your own larger than life kind of thing. So where do you see that going in the future for The Sims?
Well, The Sims has really kind of been all over the place with the way that they structure their game. Their build systems have been different. Their creative sims have been different. Their world gameplay style has been different. Like The Sims 4 doesn't have cars. So I think that moving forward, gosh, I hate to say it. I feel like The Sims is something I've done most of my life that I'm just so passionate about it that I get angry with it easily.
Okay.
But like the direction I see The Sims going is one that I'm not too eager to see.
All right, so how about we do this then? Let's go with the direction you see it going and the direction you wish it would go in. So let's go first with where you see it going.
The way I see it going is it's going to end up like GTA, where
Mm,
it turns into an online gaming platform because it's what the community is asking for. They want a form of online gameplay. They don't want exclusive. They just want to be able to take their Sims places. But with the popularity of MMOs, like, yeah, I can see the Sims totally moving forward with going into some type of online form of play.
okay.
Um, to give people more of that social interaction. Because, like you said before, like everything is definitely turning more virtual these days.
Mm,
So, more people are looking for a social outlet in the virtual world. If this I see it turning into a freaking online web chat. I can see this going into VR and getting really freaking weird. And I just don't really like the outcomes that I see them heading towards, including the microtransactions that I really think they're testing out with the kits.
mm,
Going that small and that expensive for something that small, yeah, it's only $2 off from what it should be, but that's telling the company we're willing to overpay systemically if you do it
mm.
incrementally,
And
not
like we
systemically,
said,
incrementally.
$2 on 10 expansion, 9 games, 16 stuff like that. It adds up very quickly.
It does. And if the community tells EA and Maxis we're okay being overcharged $2, then that tells them that we're okay being overcharged for more things.
Hmm.
And we're okay with being charged more for less content. And the community's not. We're already pissed off about how expensive it is. So I think that the future, it's going to become more expensive. I think it's going in a direction of MMO. And I think that because it's moving in that direction, it's going to destroy the purpose of the game, which is finding peace within yourself and with yourself.
Okay. Okay. I like that. That little there, the what you like, 'cause of course your opinion of what the game is, because that's a great kind of opinion of finding peace within yourself and within something that you create. That's kind of a really kind of it's something that should be pushed almost, right? Um,
Yeah.
so that's where you see it going. Where do you wish it would go? That is my
Um,
question. Like
I think
if you were in charge of it, you were the one pulling all the strings. What does The Sims 5 look in Jackson's world versus the MMO sort of, which I kind of agree with you. I can see that a MMO sort of online VR kind of interacting with other people thing.
Yeah, because you see it with Valheim right
Hmm.
now is like all these people are on one person's server, and let's say that one person wants to fast forward their time to do something or somebody else wants to. They can't. They can't just fall asleep like they could on their normal server.
Hmm.
And in The Sims, if you start to go and play with other people, you no longer control the time of day, the day of week, the day of year. You can't control the weather. You're now on a controlled fixed server that has set things, set times, and all of that. And when you're in a game where you're essentially God and you can't control, that
Yeah.
defeats the game. Now,
So
where I want to see it go is in the direction that Sims 4 was initially headed. It had an all-around better build system. They had a more in-depth personality to the Sims, and they added emotions to the Sims, which I was firmly against at the start, but it definitely does add a good dynamic that I've enjoyed playing with. I think that they should elaborate on the emotion system, the system that they brought in for like shared moments and shared memories and stuff like that. I think they should keep that. I would love to see them take all of the things that they did right here and put it on a smoother running engine. Make it for computers that actually make it functional for how many packs you're going to put out for it. Don't put out 40 packs if the game can't run all of that content booted into it.
Right, yeah, you make it so you can have 40 packs. You buy all 40 packs, and now the game doesn't work.
Yeah, your game's too heavy to run. Sorry, you've got too many cities, too many people, too many assets. Oh, you put way too many mirrors in this house. I'm sorry, but your game's going to crash now. It's like, come on, man. Like, just if they can clean up what they have, put it on a fresh new system, just give it a complete rework. I love their building system. I think they should keep it. If they can improve upon it in some way, fine. But what I hated that they did at the start of The Sims 4 is they excluded a lot of the basic functions we got in The Sims 3. So there's no cars. There was oh gosh, what was it? There was no toddlers, there were no pools, and you can only actively participate in the lot that you're on, and like each lot kind of comes with an attached community area that you can wander onto without having to reload your screen. But if you want to go anywhere that isn't your property, you have to go through a long ass load screen. So I want that to be shortened. And I want maybe like I'm okay with waiting screens if they're short enough.
Yeah. Or my
I
other
don't
thing
wanna
is like if
sit
there's
there
something you
still.
can do during the loading screen.
Yeah, or if it wasn't like something, because it's the plumb bob twirling. They shoot some like witty comments underneath of it, but other than that, you're sitting there for like 5 minutes, and if that text underneath just stops scrolling, guess what? You're looking at something that says Bella Goth lives in this residence for 13 years, and you don't care anymore. But I don't want them, like you said, like you can't, like you would think that you can take all that content with you, but unfortunately you can't. And I'm okay with the packs not coming over. I'm not okay with basic game functions not coming over.
Okay.
I'm not okay with the game starting without a pool system. That should already be in there. You know,
Seems
so
a little bit.
and an entire age group of toddlers not being there for launch, that should have been there for launch. So I think like all of that stuff, stairs that you can actually bend into any shape that you want, like spiral staircases and everything. Like these are things that we've been asking for and we're just now getting, and now they're starting to talk about The Sims 5. So it's like, is The Sims 5 going to start with this stuff? Or are you guys going to take us back to bare bones and work us up to that level over the next 5 years again?
I honestly feel like it might be that just because that's it's such a typical EA move, you know.
Yeah.
The one thing that I will say that I do like, and I've seen a few videos of it, is the patch notes. I fucking love Sim patch notes because it's the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen. Like, there was one that I saw at one point that was like, "We have removed the feature of try to make baby with the Grim Reaper." If a meteor is
They
about
hated
to,
us.
if a meteor is about to hit the Earth, the students will now leave the school unless it's graduation, in which they will stay and die. Like, like I remember reading these things at one point because my buddy sent me them, and I was like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen." Like these patch notes are great. Like, yes, I just
The
give me them
Sims
all.
3, I think it was, is what added the meteors. And it was like there could be a devastating meteor hit the school and kill every child inside of it.
That's fucking hilarious.
So it was like
It's
meteors will no
not
longer hit.
hilarious, but at the same time, it's
Like right now there's a running joke on my channel for Yamachan the Eternal, and essentially we got this new mascot in one of the latest packs, and it's Yamachan, and it's essentially a mountain that was cartoonized.
okay.
And like he keeps showing up to my house and baking cakes all the time, and it's really pissing me off because I don't want my kids hyped up on sugar, and I'm tired of throwing away these cakes, and I lock every freaking door, but this guy keeps getting in. So like in the patch notes you'll see neighbors will no longer come in and start baking cakes when this is on. This neighborhood action plan will no longer affect other worlds. Cheating in this world will no longer affect this world. And it's just like,
That's fucking hilarious. Oh man, that's fucking great. I love it. I love it. That may be the best patch notes I've ever heard.
They're really, really funny because it's serious too. That whole you can no longer have a baby or try for woohoo with the Grim Reaper. They took that away from us. That's real. We can only be his friend now.
God damn it! I wanted a Grim Reaper baby.
Well, I had that Star Wars pack. They put the same blocks that they have on the Grim Reaper and Yamachan that we can't date them or procreate with them. They put that on the characters for the Star Wars expansion pack because Disney didn't want that.
Disney didn't want you making Wookiee with a Wookiee.
Yeah, essentially, they didn't want their characters to be able to woohoo with Sims. It's not a part of the Disney branding to have sex.
Yeah, of course it's not. Black Widow.
So they blocked it all off, and I got a mod, unblocked it all, and had 1 million babies with them.
That's fucking hilarious.
Out of spite, just because I could.
That's fucking great. I love it. I love it. All right, so the final topic of the night, like I said before, this was a idea that came around because of Dana. Dana came up with this idea. So it is my life as a.
Oh, so that's me now? Yeah. My bad.
You'd be surprised how many times I do this because like I'm even like motioning to like the mic. Yeah, so it's your life as a.
My life as a creative director.
Okay, so now tell everyone what the hell a creative director is because I have no
clue. Well, Webster's dictionary would define no. So essentially it's oh gosh, what's the simplest way I put it? I'm a professional content creator for corporations.
There we go. That's actually that because I know you and me have kind of talked about it before. But that's a very for my dumb brain that works. So I think it should work for everyone else out there.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun though. I love what I do.
so basically you're like so when people see like the TV like the merchandising or the stuff on the internet or like that sort of stuff, that's kind of what you do.
Yeah.
To an extent.
Over the course of my working career.
Mm-hmm.
So I graduated in 2014 and I have a degree in digital media production.
Okay.
Which tells you all you need to know about my career from there. Essentially, like what I got into and what I've been doing the last few years with these companies is from concept. If you have an idea, I'm the one who had the idea and I'm the one who from start to finish had executed that idea. So let's say
you still there, Jackson? Oh, I'm having issues. Hold up a sec.
Can you hear me?
There we go. I was having issues. My bad.
Oh, okay, no problem.
I was gonna say, like, suddenly you were like, well, you said something, and then it was just gone, and I'm like, what the hell?
Oh no.
So my thing here apparently is like 25 ms or something like that for voice connected. Apparently, I just clicked over onto it, and it said 500 ms. So I don't think that's supposed to go that high. Apparently. For everyone out there, I got new internet today, so everything's a new experience. So so you were saying basically anything that you see is you. That's what I think.
Yeah. Okay. So if anything that like from captions on Instagram to the graphic on Instagram to the t-shirt you're wearing, like any of that stuff is in the
For
wheelhouse.
Dark
So
Side.
I've done everything. Like I've done t-shirt design and stuff like that. So essentially being the creative director is you're the lead
Okay.
in all of it. You're guiding it, either you're doing it on your own solo or you're guiding a small team below you. And I've guided like clothing merchandising teams, restaurant, menu, design and specials and stuff like that, and just like basic marketing. Marketing is a huge part of it, knowing analytics, where to go, keeping up with algorithms. It's actually a lot easier. Like what I do for a living, it's not hard, it's just a hefty plate. Now, Husky, you're a content creator, and I'm sure you
Some
can
people
see
would
the
say that.
workload. You've seen like the amount of work that comes with it. But the kind of content that I'm making is very, very corporate usually. Like I've worked on master classes. I've worked on corporate social media accounts, again, like the captions, the people responding to you, the people in the DMs, and the people posting the content and all that stuff. Like that's me. You're just talking to me. It's just one person behind all that.
So when people are sliding in the DMs, they're actually just talking to you.
Yeah, pretty much. If
There
I'm
you
working at
go.
that company, you're just talking to me. You're sliding into my DMs asking me about all of the great IT wonders of the world. No lie, like because I've worked in like such a broad like range, like content creation isn't very like specific to a niche market. Like it goes across the board for everyone. So I've worked in restaurants, real estate offices, and cybersecurity offices and stuff like that. So even Capital One HQ. I didn't do that stuff there specifically, but I did content creating. I think I didn't have the creative director position, but I did content creating for them in some capacity. And it's just great. So basically, to start everything, like as like a breakdown of my day, I guess, is you have your meetings, you sit down and you're like, what are our goals? What are we looking to accomplish? And after you've established what you want to accomplish with what you're about to plan, that's when you start moving into, okay, cool. What are the best methods? Who is our demographic? Where are we looking? Let's see where we're at in our current analytics. And you start doing your research. You research your current demographic. You start reaching the demographics you want to break into. You start reaching the content that actually works on those people, because there's a lot of psychology to marketing.
Yep.
And then like you and I have spoken before, not too heavily in detail about it, but like I do freelance social media advising.
Yes.
So like I will go to people's social media. Right now it's like a focus on Instagram, because honestly it's my favorite place to be. But like I'll go there and I can easily give an assessment of somebody's page probably within 5 minutes to tell you right off the bat. I can tell you you're a bot account. I can tell you you're a bot account because of XYZ. Like, and I'm not saying like let's use Xander for an example.
Okay.
Right? Like we love Xander here over at Husky Nation. And I was looking over his Instagram one day and I was like, buddy, I can tell you right now why your channel's not growing. You know, you're using the same hashtags here. You're posting this content here. You're not posting enough content here. You need more of this type of content to grow. And it's a strategy. You know, so then I work with people and I let them know, right? First, I'm not going to go on to somebody's page and be like, well, let me tell you everything that's wrong here.
Just randomly show up on some dude's page. I'm going to tell you everything that's wrong about what you're doing right now. Who are you? Why are you in my kitchen? When the fuck did we get ice cream? Okay.
Yeah, so it's like I'll go if somebody reaches out to me and I'll look and I'll say, hey, right off the bat, I can see that your bio is not in the proper format. You're not using your your name slot appropriately. You're not even taking advantage of like your free link that you get here. You're not telling people to go to your link. You're not telling anybody the content you're making and stuff like that. Like, people miss the bar on content creation time and time again, and they don't understand why. So on the freelance side of what I do, I go in and try and help people understand why what they're doing isn't working, and to try and help them turn it around using certain methods to get them from being seen in the algorithm as a bot to an actual person, an actual content creator, and help them kind of pull out of the shadows and start to grow again.
Okay. It is. I mean, it's because of course, like I mean, like I said, we've had this discussion before. I have no background, so everything I've learned is just kind of the bullshit lucky that I've just kind of gotten along with, right? And it is interesting seeing the different trends, seeing the different things that do work versus the things that don't work, this versus that, and it is interesting seeing all those different things and
Yeah.
trying to take advantage of like one thing versus another. Like the very first thing that I did, I mean, of course I can't go back to my first fucking ever Instagram post, but like the very first one I did, I had like 4 hashtags. And then like within a month of that, I was like, I found out that the limit is 30. And I'm sitting there like, well, if the limit's 30, why the fuck why am I not using 30? Like, why am I not why am I not taking advantage of this? So then like I spent like a full like week, literally like I type in like streamer. Okay, that's got 3.5 million posts. Okay. Console streamer. Okay, that's got 1.4. And I like had like a whole list of these, so I knew exactly like what ones could get the most viewage potentially. And from there, I created kind of my base. Like, if I'm going live, and it's been the same for I don't know how fucking long now, but my I'm going live one is basically the exact same thing that it's been for the last little bit. Every now and then I change. Like, I had an Assassin's Creed Valhalla when Assassin's Creed Valhalla came out, and I was playing it a little bit more. But like a lot of it though is just the same. But what I've done though at the same time is like, for instance, whenever I put up clips, the clips change the format. So I'll keep the first 15 or so, 10 to 15 basic simple ones like streamer, small streamer community, streamer this, game that, my name, Xbox, like that sort of stuff. But then the final ones are all very like this game specific. And that's kind of one of the things that I found that really does kind of work, because it's like every day almost every day I get at least one follower. It
That's
feels like,
good.
but then also like it's one of those things where it's like I also know I lose a follower or two every day. But it's one of those things though where it's like I do see like there are certain things where I can post this and I see like I get like 5 followers that day, and I'm sitting there like, what the fuck, And it may not be something that I particularly like. It just could be the topic, right? Like, new Fortnite season comes out. I put out a Fortnite clip. I get 3 new followers. It's like, well, I got 3 new followers because the new season came out and I just put up a clip from it. Like, but it's very interesting seeing, especially across the board, right? Because like you were saying, with gaming, social media, big name companies, corporate stuff, realty, like it has to change across the board, right? Like the same tactics can't be used in each one.
Actually, you'd be surprised. So, like, here's the thing is that the methods stay the same. It's how you're applying the methods. So, like the hashtag thing that you mentioned, you discovered that you could put in 30 hashtags. Well, there's actually a method to hashtagging. Like there is a formula to it. Not like an actual mathematical formula. The only thing that there's an actual mathematical formula for it is for your engagement percentage ratio, which is something we also have to keep track of. But when it comes to hashtags, like the best method is to divide your hashtags into group sizes and to have a few dozen of each of those group sizes. So something that flags a lot of Instagram users in their algorithm as a bot is using the same hashtag over and over. The algorithm actually reads that as spam, and you get flagged as a bot account because they think that you're spamming the hashtag. So
I mean,
that's
I
actually
am a bot, but not in that sense of the word. I mean,
so like a lot of people don't really understand that like there are certain things that they think will help but actually end up hurting them, like the hashtags. So like you were saying, you found hashtags in the millions of users, and then you go into the more niche for the actual like game titles and stuff like that. That's actually a part of one of the methods we use. So we'll go and we'll do our research and we'll find the highest top ranking hashtags for whatever our topic currently is. And because like I'm like all of the different areas I was in, I've had to like learn a whole bunch of different sets of hashtags. But typically you'll have a set of hashtags for different times a day, different posts, different events, and different themes. So you can have your seasonal hashtags that are really popular and niche, like spring is coming, spring is here, cherry blossoms, rainbows, bunnies, all that stuff.
Halloween, Valentine's Day, love, Valentine's, happy, yeah.
Yeah. So like you get your big ones so that you can get pushed on the larger hashtag discover page. You get your somewhat smaller ones. Those ones are usually going to be anywhere from the tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands, but not to the higher ends of hundreds of thousands, probably capping around like 4 or 5. And then your smaller ones are going to be your thousands and less.
Yeah.
And that's how you're going to break into the niche markets and stuff like that. So you have to have multiples of each on each post. So for a week, I would say have, let's call it 200 hashtags lined up. And I have to divide those 200 hashtags across like a week's worth of content and not repeat it, or only repeating the branded ones or repeating the thematic ones.
Okay.
Like if I post 3 times a week and at the end of the month, that's 12 posts and twice I talk about this podcast, I'm not going to be flagged. But if all month long I'm doing hashtag podcast, then I'm going to get flagged because every post, 12 posts, every single thing is all about podcasts. Inside your stories and stuff like that, your hashtags count in there too. You know, Instagram wants to really push their video
I fucking
feature.
hate it. I fucking hate it.
So they are actually prioritizing video content. So if you even have just a GIF playing, like one of my back in January, I posted a schedule of when I would be streaming, and it was just a short little like motion graphic, and that was it. And that classifies as a video, and that just upped my chance into getting into the discovery page. So it's just it's
it's one of those things, like there's some things in it where it's like I'm just sitting there and I'm like, God, this is just,
I know, it's very brain melting sometimes.
like
And then on top of it,
I
you
applaud you for making, for having it be your job, so something that you do, because it's like there's days when I'm just like, for instance, like I played a game called Donut County. And like my hashtags go for the game, right? Go Donut County, donut, physics, puzzle, raccoon, trash, trash king, bird, Mira, alligator spelt wrong, puzzle game. Like that's the specific ones for the game, because eventually I just ran out of things that I could think of that would work for it. And like, yes, literally for the entire series that I posted, I've put the wrong fucking alligator. Oh, I just noticed that right now. ALLO gator.
As somebody who does this professionally, writing down your hashtag, writing it down is the best thing you can do, because it keeps track of your whole entire list. If you think it shows you what the average size of it is once you have them divided up, so you're not going to go looking through all of those little things. And plus, when you're on Instagram and you start typing, all it says is recent. You don't know how that hashtag's currently doing at that time.
Well, the other thing, especially for Instagram, is Instagram, the app on the computer, used to be a godsend, because you could post anything from it. You could literally right click on the like the thumbnail, basically down in the lower, like down in your drop menu. You could right click on it and just say upload, and then pick something and go from there. So I had everything saved on my computer at one point, and then within a month they were just like, "No, we're not doing that anymore. You can't post." Like, there's a bullshit way that you can like manipulate your computer to make the web browser for
View it
Instagram
as a phone.
view it as a phone, but you can only post pictures that way. You can't post videos.
Yeah, I've had
As
to deal with that as well. It's very frustrating because you have to edit it on the computer, then send it to your phone somehow, and then from your phone you have to it's definitely frustrating.
Yeah,
Um,
like I use Facebook basically now just to send clips to myself.
the thing about Instagram is Instagram has always been a very now in the moment platform.
Hmm.
It's always like, hey, let me post what I'm eating to Instagram real quick. Hey, let me post to my story what I'm doing real quick. Let me just vent to stories or something. So, like, for Instagram to be used for pre-recorded content, I don't think that was their initial intention. I think it was for more to focus on live content, and now you just have the option to put it on.
Yeah,
But you're right, it's not easy to do. It's not easy to get on there.
no. So what? So okay. So with everything that you do, and especially with the way the world is today, with just being one the way the world is, but two also with the pandemic and everything happening, what does the current like market, for instance, for your job? What does that look like these days?
Um, so I see a lot of job postings for my position, and I think that my position is going to be in high demand moving forward because let's face it, we're not moving backwards from technology. We're only moving forward. Social networking is becoming way more important to marketing, and uh, I think that the future of my field is very secure. However, the current job market, it's oversaturated and underfunded.
Seems like
Um,
streaming.
yes, yes. um, it's I have all of these skill sets. I'm
Hmm.
capable of doing all of these things, but this is not a one person job.
Yes.
It's not, and they really think it is. Companies think that this is a one person job, and in addition to, the concept creation and graphic design of it and posting and engagement, like I am also a videographer for the places I work. So I'm also
Mm.
doing all of their video work, all of their stage setting, all of the camera work, all of the inventory ordering and keeping up with that stuff and editing all of it. So it's a lot for one person in one position to handle. And I think that right now, um, companies that are now looking to have this type of position, they need to add it in addition to a marketing
Yeah.
department, not instead of. And I think right now it's a little rough for people like me in my position who kind of lost their job during COVID. And now that everybody's remote, it kind of seems like anybody can do this job. So they're kind of just hiring anybody that'll take it. Like I know what my skill sets are worth. And when I'm offered less than it's kind of like, are other people willing to accept this money right now?
Yeah,
So
it's kind of one of those things where like there's times because of course like I got lucky with my job. I just kind of got put on furlough, I think if I remember correctly being called. I was able to go back, but like I've heard people say like they got let go and now like people are expecting them to do more, but we're gonna pay you less sort of thing.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's just it's a shitty evolution of humans and just kind of the way of taking advantage of something, which is just it's the complete negative of everything, that you would want, right? Um Bad situation happened, laid everyone off. Okay, now we need to bring these people back. Cool, I want you to do 10 times the work, but I'm not going to pay you the same as what you used to get paid
Mhm.
because no matter what, eventually someone's going to say yes. That sort of
Exactly.
thing. Um
Especially right now.
mhm.
And I was speaking with somebody about this recently because I'm actually in an interviewing process right now for a company,
Ooh.
and they they reminded me to not take less than what my minimum is. And I was just like, well, I don't know, like, it's a pandemic and I'll pretty much take anything at this point. And they reminded me, if you take anything that somebody offers you, you become a part of the problem that you hate about the industry right now.
Ooh. Good on them for bringing that up. Good on them for
And
bringing
like,
that up.
yeah, absolutely. And that like really opened my eyes because, I would be willing because, I live in a more affordable area now. I'd be
Mhm,
willing to go $10,000 less because I can survive off $10,000 less. But that's
mhm.
not what this is about. It's about being paid for what my skill set's worth.
Yeah.
And places just don't want to do it. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like places are trying to offer under 40,000 for that. Everything that I do. Like, imagine what you do for your content creation and imagine having to do that daily for a company. Like, it's not even your own creative freedoms. You have to do it for somebody else.
Yeah, I'm good.
Like, they don't they don't make it really enticing. Like, the reason why I stay in what I do is because I love what I do. I
Mhm,
love content creating. I love working with people. I love turning nothing into something, and it's a
mhm.
lot of fun, and then seeing how it affects people and seeing the results in the analytics is just so satisfying. Like, it's such a freaking dopamine booster to see all of that stuff.
It really is, and it's one of those things. Like and I've said it before to a bunch of the guys. Like I kind of wish I'd gotten to being a content creator earlier because like I personally really feel like this is a good thing for me. I feel like I'm okay at it. I'm not great, not the best, but I feel like I'm okay at what I do. And like there's been some stuff that I've done. Like for instance, for a lot of people know, I basically live off of Freshly. Mule service, and I love them to death. And I'm looking right here, and I made a video when I first bought it because that was my other thing. I bought it and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make a video out of this because then not only do I get to eat the food and everything, and that I can also make a YouTube video, and there's boom content. Um,
Yeah.
and it's like I did it, and I was like, I wasn't sure what was gonna happen after I did it, right? And it's like, thanks for the review, great review, thanks. Thanks for the info, great review. Thanks for the review. I have an order in because my reasoning is the same as yours. I can cook, but I don't need the large portions. I hope you're doing better now, both mentally and that. Take care of yourself. Like it was wild getting all these comments, and I'm sitting there like, this is kind of a weird feeling. But then also getting some people coming into my stream. I had like 2 people follow me at one point, and they're like, "Hey, I just got done watching your Freshly video. Keep up the good work. I'm gonna buy some Freshly because of you." And I was like, wait, what? Like, damn, all right, cool,
And I mean, that's the power of being a social media influencer. Like,
Hey, well, I don't use
you,
the I word, all right?
you
I ain't influencing nobody. Like,
you may not have the little blue check, but like when people say, I bought this because of your review, you're officially an influencer in my book.
yeah, I would stick with content creator. I don't want to be linked in with them influencer peoples. Um,
But as a content creator, like, yeah, you like to know, like, you made an opinion-based video and somebody took your opinion and made a
mhm.
choice based off of it.
Well, like and that's and it's funny as well because like there was one that I did, and it's literally me eating cookies. That's the whole fucking video. Um, but like, it's My Cookie Dealer is the name of the company, and they make half-pound cookies, and you can only buy them when they post on Instagram saying, "Hey, we're live. The store's
Oh,
open."
wow.
That's the only, and it's the greatest marketing just like thing that they've done. And I'm a huge fan of theirs. And during COVID, they had to shut down because of New York and the regulations. When they started to open up again, they completely shut down for us, the regular people. They made batches and were handing them out to first responders in New York.
Oh, wow.
So immediately I was on board with the company. So I made a video of I bought a box of theirs called the Secret Stash, and it was just 10 random cookies. I didn't get to pick them. So it's me like basically like showing the cookies, telling everyone what they are, breaking them in half because some of them have like gooey stuff inside or like caramel inside. So I'd like break it in half and like eat it. And I remember like there was a bunch of comments that like those look awesome. I'm gonna buy them. And then there was a bunch of comments that were like, man, why is it got to be My Cookie Dealer and Secret Stash trying to act like there's weed in it? And then like there was that one, and then another one was like, "Ew, you sucked on your finger," and I was like, "Okay." Like that was my response to him was just okay, like cool, like whatever, like great. Um, but yeah, no, it's funny seeing some of the reactions and just different stuff with that.
Yeah.
But
I
so,
think, on the business side of it, seeing it affect the business that you're currently
Hmm.
working at is always an ego boost. Like,
Oh yeah.
I feel like I've been greatly undervalued and underappreciated at all of my other workplaces because the amount of freaking traffic I pulled in for those people to be told I don't do enough.
I understand your how you feel about that from you coaching. I'm not gonna go into any of that because that's a whole fucking bag of worms. But I
Yeah.
completely understand that feeling though of like, yeah, like I bring this to the table and they're like, huh, cool, and they just kind of throw the table out.
Yeah, I think there's a really big disconnect because when people hear social media manager and stuff like that, they're like, "Oh, you just sit on Facebook all day." No, actually, I'm on Facebook the least. I'm on social media the
Hmm.
least. I am in my analytics station and I am like responding to messages and creating content. Like it's so hard to actually get onto social media once you become a social media manager or an advisor or like a creative director. Like honestly, like me personally, I don't even like having my own social media accounts because I'm just like, I don't care about this. I just want to do it for other people. So
Well, like,
like finding the motivation for myself is always hard.
it's funny for me thinking about it. I made my Instagram account very shortly after I made my Twitch account, and I made a Twitter as well. And I don't use my personal things anymore, other than Facebook. I don't have a streaming. I don't have a streaming Facebook page. But like my personal Instagram, I can't tell you the last time I posted on that. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't posted to mine in forever. That's kind of how it goes. Like right now, I'm really trying to care enough about my own stuff because I do stream and I am having fun with it. So I'd love for my channel to grow more. And I know I've mentioned before about starting YouTube
Hmm.
and diving into that content over there and all that stuff. So it's it's the want and the desire and the drive to create content, just like I don't know why, but when it comes to putting out my own content, it's just so hard to really like get a grip and actually do it.
I get it because it's one of those things where it's for me anyway. My kind of thing is like a little bit twofold. Why would anyone want to watch this? And um, along with just kind of this isn't perfect, almost like that sort of thing. Like those are my kind of two ones that I have. I don't know about you, but um, because like there's times when I do stuff and I'll be like, this is an absolute shite video. This is not going to do well, and then it does well, surprisingly. And then there's other days when I'm like, all right, I just did a great reaction to Justice League. I'm fucking excited about this, and then I put it up and it gets like 7 views, and I'm like, my heart hurts a little bit, like that sort of thing. And it's
Yeah.
especially with content creation, you can be so hard on yourself about it. Like you're saying, like you're trying to have fun, you're trying to do this, and it really is. And I've said it to different people, and recently one of them constantly reminds me, and I'm glad that they do. The reason why I'm doing this is to make content that I enjoy, that I think others will enjoy, and I am having fun with doing this. And that's
And
kind
I
of
think that's why oh, sorry.
no, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that's why I love streaming as much
Hmm.
as I do. Like as a content creator who's dabbled in like every form of media, streaming has been my favorite as a content creator for my personal content because it doesn't involve editing. I
Hmm.
don't have to second guess myself. I don't have to think about it. If nobody shows up, they don't show up. My feelings aren't hurt. I'm just playing a game anyway.
Yeah.
Like I come here to have fun and relax, and it's like the most stress-free content creating that you could possibly do. And then, like, I think about taking my videos and putting them on YouTube, and I'm like, "Well, how much dumb shit did I just say on there?" And I start
I'm
to get, like, self-conscious about it, but,
so
like
so so I'll tell you this. Like, so for me, there's different levels, right? For me, going from Twitch to YouTube, there's different levels. There's the highlight video one where I can spend 7 hours making one video that's like 20 minutes long, and all it is just finding the right stuff. This, that. Am I going to add music? Am I not going to add music? I want to make sure that I get enough of this video, but I want to make sure I get enough of this part. But I don't want to miss this part. And how do I manipulate this? There's those videos, and then there's the videos where I sit down, and you saw it recently. I sit down, I play Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and then I just upload it to YouTube. Like, there's no fucking editing. And then there's some of the game series ones, like when I played Woodle. All I did in that one was I went, okay, so this is the beginning point. Okay, so this is right here is the beginning point. Let's look at 13 to 15 minutes ahead. What's 13 to 15 minutes ahead? Okay, 15 minutes ahead, I'm in a new level. Let's back it off a little bit. Okay, 13 minutes, I'm ending a level. Okay, so there's the end of video one. And then I just kind of do that, and I'll break down videos just like that. So the editing part of it is actually a lot easier than like a highlight video or a compilation video, because all I'm doing is I'm breaking down one like hour-long video, just trying to break it down into sections that are decently watchable, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like I could easily see you doing that with The Sims, where you'd be like, okay, you know, because I mean, like, what normally when you stream, how long do you stream for?
Um, well, sim stream can be anywhere from 3 to 8
Okay,
hours.
so let's say 3, right? Okay, so within a 3-hour period, let's say 15-minute videos, because 15 minutes is kind of, you know, about where you want to be at.
Yeah.
15, so let's see here. So 15 times 15 times 4 times 3. I just did that wrong. Holy shit. So you got 4 videos an hour. Do it by 3, so that's 12 videos. And there's no editing. All you have to do is just like, you know, you have to find that point right around the 15-minute mark, and then stop it there, and then just the next video starts right after that. And it's a very kind of double dipping, very kind of, you know, a little bit of a cheesy thing, you know, a little cheeky thing to do. But it's one of those things though where like you can like I said, if you sit down for 8 hours playing that game, like that's an 8-hour story that you're basically telling, which you
Oh,
can
yeah.
turn into a series. If one day you sit down and you know you're like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna fuck the Grim Reaper.
And I have.
It's gonna happen. You can make a whole series based off of that, and then like, you know, for the next like 20 days, there's YouTube content, and it's just
Mhm.
one regular stream session. I mean, and that's the kind, and it's like I said, it's a little bit cheeky, it's a little tongue in cheek doing it, but
I think that I think that it's fine, you know, I mean, content creation doesn't really have, like, I mean, of course, you have your basic storytelling elements of pacing and,
mhm.
like, all that stuff, but, like, when it comes to content creation, especially nowadays, we can really do whatever the hell we want. Like, if I wanna be cheeky and put all the like, if I wanna take my entire 100 baby challenge to date and compress it into a 5-second highlight reel, I can,
Oh
like.
yeah, I mean, like, and that's the thing is like it's the beauty of it, right? Like you can kind of do it any way you want.
Yeah,
But like that was my
and
that was just kind of my thing for, you know, like with you saying like, you know, oh well, you know, I don't know what I said or this or that, or fuck it, you know, eventually you're gonna say something stupid. Everyone does on
yeah.
stream, you know.
Yeah. I think a lot of it comes into play, like, well, a couple of things. When it comes to my streams being posted, I do a lot of learning
Hmm.
through my audience. So if I don't know something and my audience teaches me it, I feel like, to be honest, I feel like a stupid American. And I don't want to continue that stereotype, and I don't want to be seen as a stupid American. So it's like when I learned that stuff, I was just like, can I not like have the world know I did not know that already?
Oh man, I mean, I my thing is this is that no matter what, you're right. There's always going to be someone smarter. There's always going to be someone dumber. I mean, there's the video. I don't know how much of a Tim the Tank Man fan you are, but like, there's a video where he talks about like, if I just drill a hole straight down, I'm going to get to the ocean. And he was thinking like he spent a whole night thinking about that, and then he talked about it on stream, and his chat just roasted him for like 20 minutes. And it was one of those things where I'm just kind of sitting there, and I'm like, I'm smarter than Tim the Sandman. You know, he may have a ton more views than me, but um. So okay, so what is a back off? You know, now let's get back off looking at the chasing the butterfly real quick. Um, typical day. What's a typical day look like for in the life of a um creative director?
Yeah, so basically you wake up pretty early. I think like all of my shifts started at like 7, no later than 8. at all of my jobs. So like a typical like 8-hour, 9-hour shift, whatever it goes. So I would get up in the mornings, and with or without a job, essentially the first thing I do every morning is I'm researching uh, topics, best practices, any changes in algorithms and stuff like that. So like as soon as I'm waking up in the mornings, I'm on my phone looking up that stuff. When the workday starts, I've already got fresh information for the day and I start. So I check emails, I prepare a content calendar, I execute a content calendar, I go through all of our social medias to see if anybody said anything to us, any shout outs or stuff like that. I search to see if we've been mentioned online anywhere and kind of go from there. After I kind of check in everywhere, I start to make sure about this time is when like late morning meetings start rolling in, and you go in and you do all that stuff with your teams, and you come out and you start executing things. Hopefully while you were in the meeting towards the end or something, posts have gone up, because like all social media and algorithms, there are good times and bad times to be posting to social media across the board. Every single one of them has a good time and a bad time. If you guys aren't seeing good traction and good content that you're making, like, hey, I posted really well this day, but not well on this day, it's very likely your timing is off.
Mm.
Um, and after that, I go through, I check, and I may check the weeks before, the days before insights, which are just the analytics and stuff like that. And kind of plan of action from there. Do I need to finish any video editing? Do I have any recording sessions today? Do I have to create any graphics? Do I have to reach out to any contractors to get any filler content for the pages? Do I have to submit anything for transcription and stuff like that? And it's a lot of time management. If you're not good with time management, it's not the job for you. You have to be able to appropriately block out your time, as well as be able to communicate your team the amount of time that is needed for each appropriate tasks. I've worked for several people that do not understand that content calendars for a subject you've never learned before are not made in an afternoon. uh, so it's a lot of that stuff, a lot of time management, a lot of meetings, and a lot of time by yourself. You may or may not work with teams. I have not really worked with a team directly since about 2015.
Okay.
Everything else has kind of been solo, and then working through contractors, like hiring them on to come and help out with and do stuff. But that's pretty much a typical day. I do a lot of analytics, I do a lot of research, and I talk to everybody that tries to talk to us.
That's definitely a good thing. I mean, like, I know for a fact, like, when some of the videos I've done, like, I've done Freshly, I've done Sneak, and I've had conversations back and forth with like their social media teams, and then like Doctor of Squatch, which was one that I thought I was gonna have a back and forth with. They just liked it and liked my posts, and that was it. And there was nothing else. And I was like, that's kind of weird. And and like, so I applaud the actually like making sure you're talking to and trying to talk to everyone, because as someone that has not had that interaction, it can kind of spoil a little bit the taste in your mouth when you're dealing with them.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, thank you for coming on though tonight, Jackson. I
Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
having me. It's been like 3 hours that you've just been listening to me
Hmm.
ramble. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, thank you for coming on and teaching me up about some Avatar and Sims. I mean, I had no idea about either one of them really. I told you the little bit that I didn't know, and you filled in a lot of gaps, and I know a lot more than I did before I started. So, like I said, thank you for coming on. I do appreciate it. Is there anything you would like to say, or anything before we wrap this up?
For those of you that are new or returning fans to the Avatar universe, Avatar Studios is here. We are getting what we have so rightfully deserved this whole time, and I am here with you, joining you in that excitement, and I can't freaking wait. The Sims, that's just kind of going to be the same thing. And if anybody ever needs help or advice or wants like a free little assessment of their pages, slide into my DMs. All right. I don't charge for free assessments. If I'm just coming to your page and saying, "Hey, this is what you're doing wrong in these little aspects," that's just free. Everything else that I help you with after that, like content calendars and content creation, that shit's where you get the charging from. But if y'all just need some help, let me know.
There we go. I'm going, and I will be leaving in the description, as always. I leave the information for the guests. I'll leave your Twitch and your Instagram. Is that good?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, there we go.
That's
So
pretty much the only places I am.
there we go. So yet again, like I said, thank you for coming on. I do appreciate it. It has been a lot of fun. It has been.
It has.
So that wraps it up for tonight. So for everyone out there, depending on where you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, stay out of trouble, stay safe, and we will talk to you all later. Bye.
Bye.